Chapter 4014. The first is here. How fast can you escape? Qi Jian Wushuang watched that emotion dominated disappeared into his sight, and his heart was secretly shocked. Jian Amoken's dominance obviously showed his life-saving hole card, and the life-saving hole card was very good. Even Jian Shuangshuang let him escape if he didn't check it. However, it's not bad to have killed 2 fourth-ranked masters. Jian Wushuang smiled, beckoned, and the treasures left by the 2 leaders of the Void Palace and Qian Kunji came to him. Wu Jianso counted slightly, his eyes were bright. Yes, it is worthy of being the 4th-level master, and it is also the star thief leader, who plundered in this Ziwei Xinghe all year round. Although there is no rule of treasure in his hands, his net worth is quite good. It is estimated that it is comparable to 150 universe source stones. Jian Wushuang smiled. He used to suppress the ancient Yuanxing with his own strength, before he finally got 100 cosmic source stones, which is still under the premise that the ancient Yuanxing hurt his muscles. But now he came to intercept his star thief, obviously more ancient Gu Xing, and his family is naturally thicker. After the treasure was collected, Jian Wushuang returned to the cosmic boat. As for the void star thieves who came with the 3 leaders at the same time, they were frightened and fled. Jian Wushuang was too lazy to chase. Soon, the spacecraft continued to move forward. In the void far from the battlefield just now, a scarlet blood light suddenly stopped, and a figure slowly emerged. This figure is naturally dominated by Emo Chun, who has just escaped from the swordless hands. As the leader of the Void Star, and the master of the 4th-level peak, for a long time, this Ma Chun dominated the Ziwei Xinghe River almost all sideways, but today, 2nd and 3rd brother, Yan Ma Chun dominated the gloomy and terrible complexion, and in those icy eyes were filled with hatred. The 3 chiefs of Sun Wuxing were originally brothers who came together from life and death. Later, the 3 joined forces to create the Xian Wuxing. In terms of emotion, they are no less than their brothers. Iku today his 2nd and 3rd brothers were directly killed by him. He saw the whole process in his eyes, but there was no way to do it. Even he could only perform the life-saving secrets before he could recover his life. Too strong. That man is obviously the 2nd-level master, but his strength is outrageous. Not only is the divine power not weaker than the 4th-level master, the most important thing is his understanding of the origin of Kendo, and that terrible thing, extreme swordsmanship, especially the last sword formation cast. The scene where Jian Machin dominated his mind immediately appeared the scene of Jian Wushuang, casting his hazy sword array. As soon as the sword array came out, the dim sword light suddenly attacked from all corners. It was incredible. And the most important thing was that the power was also outrageous. That sword array is too scary. In the face of such a sword array, even if my strength is several times stronger, I am afraid there is no chance of survival. Emo Chen's dominated face has been distorted. The power gap is too big. Well, even if he killed the 2nd and 3rd brothers, I see and T get revenge. The master of Emo Chen undoubtedly wanted to avenge his 2 brothers. However, Jian Wushuang's unfolding strength made him desperate. It is absolutely impossible for him to avenge himself, at least not now. Jian Wushuang rides in a cosmic boat and glides through the Xinghe, apparently just passing through the Ziwei Xinghe. Not to mention that the other party has such combat power in the 2nd level, and the talent potential is far stronger than him. That is to say, just miss now. It is almost impossible for him to find Jian Wushuang in the future. No, he must die. No matter what the price is, even if it is my life, I will kill him and take revenge for my 2nd and 3rd brothers. Ji Machin dominated his hands, and his nails were already in the flesh. In his mind, he was desperately thinking about the method to kill the other party. At this moment, I didn't know how many thoughts flashed, but most of them were not sure the other party. Suddenly, Emo Chen dominated his eyes. Mr. Jiusu. The master of Emo Chen remembered someone. This is a transcendent character. That is enough to make Emo Chen dominate the terror. You know, the strength dominated by Emo Chen is almost sideways in the Ziwei Xinghe. A large number of star theft forces in Ziwei Xinghe, although not dominated by some 4th level, but the strength can be comparable to the of Emo Chen. Just 1 or 2. Although the strength can be comparable to Mo Chen's dominance, Mo Chen's dominion does not dare to oppose each other. But Mr. Jiuxiu was absolutely qualified to make Mo Chen dominate the terror. But imagine the terrible strength of the other side. Yes, fine Mr. Jiuxiu. With his strength, it should be enough to kill the cosmic boat master. As long as I can invite him, I will have the opportunity to avenge the second and third brothers. Mo Chen's eyes flashed with light. After making a decision, he set off immediately. A part of Ziwei Xinghe, this place is occupied by a star-stealing force, which is called Bingxin Valley. In terms of strength, this Bingxin Valley can't be compared with large star theft forces, such as Void Star and Ancient Yuan Star. And it is even worse than many star thieves in Ziwei Star Hanoi. It's just that it is inconspicuous. A small star-stealing force. Her Majesty's Star Island is only 100 people. The previous leader is only a second-level dominated. However, since the arrival of a mysterious strongman thousands of years ago, this place of Bingxin Valley, in Ziwei Xinghe, is completely different. Although the current strength of Bingxin Valley is still far from the strength of those large star thieves, the large star-stealing forces are as strong as nothingness, and the ancient Yuanxing are absolutely afraid to provoke Bingxin Valley. The reason why this is so is the mysterious powerhouse in Bingxin Valley. His name is Jiusu. Woohoo! Ji Machen dominated the cosmic channel of the Void Star, and came out of Bingxin Valley at the fastest speed. As soon as I was troubled, I said Mo Chen, the leader of the Void Star, came to meet Mr. Jiusu. The star thieves in Bingxin Valley were shocked when they heard the words of Mo Chen. The leader of the Void Star? That is the top super existence of the entire Ziwei Xinghe. Such a super existence, the whole Ziwei Xinghe that shivered on weekdays would tremble, and their Ice Heart Valley was not qualified to contact such a super existence before. But now the other party came to visit on their own initiative, but was extremely honest without any clue. All of this is because of the adult in Bingxin Valley. Soon, the star thieves in Bingxin Valley went to report. Chapter 40:15. Hey, the second is here. In Beibing Xingu, in a humble wooden house, a white-haired long-bearded man sat on a futon. This white-haired long-bearded man was thin, as if the wind could blow it down. However, such a person who looks extremely thin has an unprecedented reputation in Ziwei Xinghe. His name is enough to make the top leaders of Ziwei Xinghe star fright. Hit him, it's Jiusu, a pinancer wandering alone in the universe. According to the star thieves of Bingxin Valley's understanding of this Mr. Jisu has lived a number of chaos ages. And these chaos ages have been wandering all over the universe. Most people are different. Like Jian Wushuang. They came from their hometown and wandered into the universe with a clear purpose. That is to go to a wider territory, see more worlds and fight with more powerful people, so as to enhance their own strength. However, this is not the case for Mr. Jiusu. He is wandering in the universe. He has never thought of where to go, but where to go. He is a real man who can endure the lonely years of loneliness. And now, the master of Mo Chen has come to this Mr. Jiusu. Void Star Machen met Mr. Jiusu. How Machen, who dominates Mo Chen, is also the leader of the Void Star. But in front of this Mr. Jiusu, he looks extremely respectful. Machen dominates. Mr. Jiuxiu looked up and glanced at Machen Dominion. 3,000 years ago, I said to you when I defeated you, if one day you make great progress or break through to reach the 5th level, Count, you can come and challenge me. Could you come today and have made a great breakthrough in strength? This is not the case. Mo Chen dominated and shook his head. I came here today because I met a strong man whose strength is terrible. I think you should be interested in Mr. Jiusu. Oh. Mr. Jiusu stared at Mo Chen. The master of Lu Machen was smirking. The master of Mo Chen knows some things about Mr. Jiusu. When he came to Ziwei Xinghe, he directly found the top leaders of the top star-stealing forces, and directly shot these strengths up to the 4th level. The leaders of the 4th-ranked peak were defeated. I have all left words. If you have made great progress or made a big breakthrough, you can go to Bingxin Valley directly to find him. Obviously, this Mr. Jiusu is not only a pinancer, but also an extremely belligerent man who is very eager to fight the strong. Like many of the star thieves in Zyhexing Hanoi now, none of them can enter the eyes of this Mr. Jiusu. Even if Emotion dominates himself, in the eyes of this Mr. Jisoo, there is no difference from the general star thief. Such people have only themselves and powerful opponents in their eyes. Because of this, the master of Emotion dared to invite Mr. Jiusu. According to the master of Emotion, the master of the spacecraft was also extremely terrible, at least much stronger than him. Such a strong man, this Jiusu, it should be more interesting. Sure enough, Mr. Jiusu asked. Who is the person you said? Where is he? What is it? He's right here in Xingha. As for his name, I don't know, but he has a cosmic boat in his hands. As for repair, he should be the master of the second level. Machen dominated the road. What? Mr. Jiusu's face changed, staring at Emotion coldly. Are you playing with me? No. Machen, the master, shook his head again and again. Mr. Jiusu, you don't know. Although the master of the spacecraft is only a second-level master, his real combat power is terrible. Definitely the most extreme and terrible kind of fourth series. Not long ago, I joined forces with my second and third brothers. They wanted to kill him and win the cosmic boat, but they were defeated directly by him, and they were crushed. My second and third brothers all died in his hands. Even me, only by performing mystery of life-saving, escaped by chance. That man killed your second and third brothers. You want to get revenge, so you came to me? Mr. Jiusu still stared at Emotion. Machen dominated his heart. This was indeed his real purpose. Mr. Jiusu obviously saw it through at a glance, but he was not surprised. I do have this purpose, but the strength of that person is terrible. There is no doubt about this. Although his divine power is only the normal fourth level, his understanding of the origin of Kendo universe is counted even in the first place. Among the fifth level masters, I am afraid that it is also the best, and his sword skill is even more terrible. He also knows a sword array. Once the sword array comes out, only 2 rounds of attacks will directly kill my 2 brothers. I'm struggling, even me. He drives the sword array to deal with my 3 brothers at the same time. If he drives the sword array to focus on one person, the power will be even more terrible. Emotion dominated a little. Sword formation. Against 3 people at the same time. Only 2 rounds of attacks killed 2 masters of the 4th level and higher level? Mr. Jiusu's eyes flashed, apparently already intrigued. Jumoken's dominator is pretty good. This Mr. Jiusu is not only a penancer, but also an extremely belligerent man. Because of the militancy, every time he passes by a star field, he will try every means to challenge the top power of that star field. Even when he came to this Ziwei Xingha, he did not converge. He is just now that Ziwei Xingha Hanoi. No one can be seen by him. But now the master of the cosmic boat, described by Emochun as the master, has made Mr. Jiusu interested. The strength of your 3 brothers is not weak, especially when you join forces. Even if you are the general 4th level peak, you can still suppress it. Even if you have time, you will have the opportunity to behead it. But this time the 3 of you will join forces. Even being easily defeated by the other side, and beheading 2 people, this alone, the strength of the cosmic boat master, must be the most extreme of the 4th series, and may even be stronger. I really want to play against such a strong man. Mr. Jiusu laughed. The owner of the spacecraft is very strong, but for you, Mr. Jiusu, I am afraid that it is nothing. Emochun dominated and complimented. Take me to him. Mr. Jiusu stood up. Machen was immediately overjoyed. Don't be too happy too soon. Mr. Jiusu glanced at the master of Emochun. I went to him. I just wanted to fight him. As for killing him then, it depends on my mood. Chapter 40:16. One more today. I went to him. I just wanted to fight him. As for killing him then, it depends on my mood. The words of Mr. Jiusu made Emochun dominate his heart, but he did not dare to say more. Immediately, the master of Emochun led the way in person, and took the Mr. Jiusu to chase the spacecraft of sword unparalleled. The cosmic boat traveled all the way in Xingha, and the sword Wuxia in the cosmic boat did not practice for a moment. He knows the vastness and danger of the universe. Even though he has some strength now, he is only limited to some marginal areas of the universe. If he is better than him in the depths of the universe, he may be a lot. Even in the truly core parts of the universe, there are many, even the most powerful ones. Stubborn as the supreme, he will also die, even if he is the ancestor of the founder of the Red Cloud, the dignified top-level strength. He died in that fierce battle. Because of this, Jian Wushuang did not dare to slacken in the slightest. Only by constantly getting stronger and climbing towards the top of the universe. One day, when he reaches Lingyun Master, or a stronger level, I am afraid that he will be qualified to truly escape the universe. Now he is too far away from that level. In these years, I have been trying to merge the sixth dark rule. It feels that my distance is really fused. It's just a slight difference, but I always feel that I see A and T really mingle together. Maybe it's because I'm too comfortable now. With the kind of oppression in the divine realm, before the beginning of the early years, we can't really integrate it. Jian Wushuang couldn't help but think. Yes, he is really very comfortable now. In fact, since the crisis in the early world of the gods was lifted, he has controlled the power of the heavenly will of the early world of gods. And he has been extremely comfortable. The burden that he has been pressing on before has been completely relieved. I want to know that when Jian Wushuang was weak, he was able to grow up step by step at an alarming rate, because of the heavy burden on his body and the constant pressure on him. Now, although with the help of the heavenly will in the early days, he has made greater progress. But without that pressure, Jian Wushuang always feels that it is not easy to make some breakthroughs. Now, even if I fight with the fourth-ranking dominator, I see A and T find a wave in my heart. This time I came to the universe, although the purpose is to go to Juyao Starfield, to find the Master's whereabouts. It's also to fight with more powerful men, but although I have shot a few times so far, I can really look forward to it and make me feel pressured. But there is none. Sword Warrior slightly shook his head. Stubborn as dominated by Mo Chun, the fourth-ranked peak of combat power, but for him now, there is no pressure at all. He easily defeated Mo Chen's master. If he was a little more serious, then Mo Chen's master would not have escaped from him. I hope that the next years of turbulence will not be so plain. And I also hope that I can meet some opponents that make me feel pressure, and make me look forward to it soon. Jian Wushuang secretly sighed. He was eager to meet and fight with a real strong man. But he ran down all the way. But he never encountered one, which made Jian Wushuang inevitably feel a little lost. And just then, Jian Wushuang suddenly looked up. The power of his soul has sensed the void in front, and two figures are approaching quickly. The two figures, one of whom he knew, was the Mo Chun who escaped by chance, and the other, that man. Jian Wushuang stared at the thin white-haired man with long hair, who had stopped in front of the spacecraft, and stood in front of Mo Chen's master. Jian Wushuang has been all the way from the beginning of the divine realm, all the way to today, and has always been extremely sensitive to the strong. At the moment when he saw this man with white hair and long beard, Jian Wushuang's heart already had a vague feeling. This man was a strong man. Although she looks very thin, although she doesn't exude any breath, Jian Wushuang can feel the arrogance of the other person's eyebrows. You know, this is in the universe, so you can be so arrogant. It must not be immortal. In addition, the master of Mo Chun came with this person, and even the body is standing behind this person. Respectful. Obviously, this person is much stronger than Mo Chun. No surprise. It should be the strong man that Mo Chun specifically invited to avenge his two brothers. Master, that person feels very strong to me. Mo Yin also solemnly said. I feel the same way. Jian Wushuang nodded, but his face still had a smile on his face. But deep inside he looked with a touch of expectation. He longs to meet the strong who can really put pressure on him, and make him take it seriously. The person in front of him may have this qualification. He did not hesitate. Jian Wushuang left the spacecraft directly, and appeared in front of the white-haired long-bearded man. Mr. Jiusu, he is the owner of this cosmic boat. Don't look at him as the second-level master, but his combat power is extremely terrible. Mo Chun dominated and stared at Jian Wushuang. His eyes seemed to spit fire. Ascetic Jiusu. Bai Su long-haired man stared at Jian Wushuang calmly. Ascetic? Jian Wushuang looked. He went into the universe. But this is the first time he heard the name of a pinancer. The master, the ascetic, is the kind of person who wanders among the various territories of the universe all year round, without any purpose, people who are purely for cultivation and strengthening. And most of the ascetics pass by a star field at times. I like to challenge some of the strong ones in the star domain, and constantly fight with the strong, so as to constantly break through and improve myself. It is crazy. In the universe, the ascetics are real lunatics, but there is no doubt that they are very powerful. The voice of the magic flame sounded in the heart of Jian Wushuang. Although the demon flame stays in the spacecraft, it can still communicate with Jian Wushuang consciousness. Oh, Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and secretly wondered. Wandering around the universe all year round, challenging the strong, this practice is really crazy. Blood sword from a star field that does not flow. Jian Wushuang also said directly, I heard the Lord Machin around me say that you have defeated the joint of his 3 brothers with your own strength. And your sword formation is extremely terrible. Only 2 rounds of attacks killed his 2 brothers. He can also only use his life-saving mystery to escape. And your strength should be very arrogant. I look forward to you, Jiu-Su said indifferently. There is not much time, so I will change it today, and maybe change it tomorrow, but I am not sure. As for the updates owed in the past 2 days, we will make up the day after tomorrow, rest assured. Chapter 40:17. Blood Sword, come up with your full strength. If your strength can satisfy me, maybe I can spare you a life. Jiu-Su stood there indifferent. Live me a life. Really arrogant enough. Jian Wushuang smiled. Me too. If you are disappointed with your strength, you don't have to leave here alive. Oh, a little interesting. Jiu-Su smiled. He was an extremely arrogant man, and his strength was really good. Because of this, he was blindsided, and said that Jian Wushuang would be killed. But he did not expect Jian Wushuang to be equally arrogant. And it's clear that both are eager to play against a stronger opponent. And in this regard, they are extremely similar. There is no more nonsense. Jiu-Su has already shot directly. I saw that he slowly raised his right hand and pointed away in the direction of Jian Wushuang. With this finger, a dazzling cyan light beam was formed in an instant. This cyan light beam carried the breath of heaven and earth, and directly penetrated through the void towards the sword. Good power. The moment Wu saw Jiu's shot, Jian Wu's eyes and pupils shrank. Jian Wushuang is also good at fighting with several 4th-ranked masters, including top powerhouses, such as Demon Star Master and Star Demon Patriarch. His eyes are also very good. Now he can see it with just one glance. The terrifying power contained in the Jiu finger. In terms of divine power alone, these 9 must have reached the extreme of the 4th series. At least more powerful than Mo Chun, the peak of the 4th series. The 9 beards. I'm afraid that brute force alone is enough to crush most of the 4th-ranked peak domination. Jian Wushuang secretly said, but the movement in his hands was not slow at all. The sword was already in his hands. Above the void, Jian Wushuang wielded a simple sword. The sword is bright and magnificent, cut across the galaxy. This bright galaxy seems to be cut directly in half by this sword. Xian Jinguang and the cyan beam from that burst collided with each other, and the horrific power broke out. In the end, Jinguang and the cyan beam annihilated and dissipated. Yes, although divine power is just the 4th level to dominate the hierarchy, but your perception of the origin of Kendo universe is extremely high, and what you hold in your hand should be the rule of treasure, right? Jiu-Su stared at the sword Excalibur without hands. Jiu-Su, what about your weapon? Jian Wushuang stared at Jiu-Su. He was very clear that the finger just now was just a casual attack by Jiu-Su, relying on purely arrogant divine power. Haha, I have 9 chaotic periods in the universe. I have challenged the unknown. Even if it is the master of the 4th level, there are thousands of people who are fighting with me. But it is worth me to take out weapons against the enemy, but few pitiful. If you do not have enough strength, you are not eligible for me to take out weapons. Jiu-Su laughed brightly. It's really arrogant. Jian Wushuang sneered. However, The Emo-chun who is on the edge of the battlefield is very clear. Jiuzu's words are by no means arrogant, but he does have this capital. You know, when Jiusu first came to Ziwei Xinghe, he defeated Ziwei Xing's top powerhouse with many star thieves in Ziwei Xinghe. It was empty-handed, and did not come up with its own blade. Even though he didn't bring out his sword, Jiusu still swept everything, like Void Star. Emo-chun dominated with his two brothers at first, but he defeated easily with nothing in this Jiusu. It was because the strength of Jiusu was so outrageous, that the master of Emo-chun thought that Jiusu was capable of beating the sword unparalleled. He deliberately invited this Jiusu to come over. How much can you do without using your weapon? Jian Wushuang snorted coldly. He did not tangle with these 9 beards. The opponent did not take out the weapon, and he shot directly with thunder. The sword's unparalleled figure was split into 3 directly, and 3 figures were shot at the same time from 3 different directions towards Mr. Jiushu. Suddenly, the weeping sword of Wu Cry in his hand burst into shock, and at this moment it screamed, "Wow! Wow!" The horrible sword shadows came from 3 different directions at the same time. Quick, incredible. Not only fast but also extremely strange. Even though Mr. Jux's strength is extremely powerful, his soul perception ability is extremely keen. But at this moment, he can't distinguish the 3 phantoms completely. Which one is sword unparalleled? Because in his view, the figure is exactly the same. Purely relying on the body to differentiate 3 different phantoms, so fast, this body is even more weird. Jiusu exclaimed, but he still did not mean to take out his weapon, only to see his body startled. The sky's blue light rose, and he seemed to be bathed in a blue ocean. From the cyan ocean, a series of terrible cyan beams burst out in succession. Jian Wushuang relies on 3 figures to attack from 3 directions at the same time. But the cyan ocean that can be transformed into 9 musts is extremely vast. It can attack from all corners in all directions at the same time, and the cyan beams emitted by the bursts are powerful. Strong, amazing. Pung pung, 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 pung. He only heard the dense sound of clashes, ringing in the middle of Xinghe, and Emo-chun, who was on the edge of the battlefield, was already scared and frightened. It's too strong. This blood sword is too fast and weird. The sword skill is extremely powerful. But Mr. Jiusu seems to be even better until now it is obvious that he has only shot at will, and he has not come up with his true skill. But the blue ocean he transformed is already scary enough. Emo-chun dominated Hao. He is also a 4th level leader at the peak level. But the 2 men who are now fighting in the battlefield, any one of them is suffocating him. And just then, broken. Jian Wushuang screamed suddenly. In the middle of the battlefield, a shocking sword exploded suddenly. The entire Xinghe is completely covered by this shocking sword. And immediately it is extremely violent. With the monstrous sword light of the endless Kendo universe origin, it just chopped down. Xian Jingguang cut directly on the cyan ocean transformed by Jiusu, and the entire cyan ocean suddenly frowned wildly. The cyan light disappeared. After a while, a cyan figure condensed in the void next to it. It actually defeated me in the face, you sword art indeed. The eye releaser of Jiusu had a sharp light, staring at Jian Wushuang, and there was a smile of excitement in the corner of his mouth. Haha, blood sword. I admit that you are qualified to let me take out a weapon. No surprises, tomorrow and the day after tomorrow will be 3 changes. Will Nato updates in the past 2 days. Chapter 4018. The first is more. Finally willing to come up with a weapon? Jian Wushuang stared at Jiusu calmly. Jiuzu's weapon was a purple spear filled with mori cold air. The purple spear was in his hand, and Jiusu also smiled evilly. At this moment he became extremely enchanting. That spear is the rule of treasure. Jian Wu's eyes narrowed. He came all the way in Ziwei Xinghe, and he also met with several 4th-ranking masters. But these 4th-ranking masters had no rule of treasure. Like the master of Machin, although he is the leader of the Void Star, there is no rule of the most precious soldier in his hand. But this Jiusu, as a penancer, is wandering in various territories, and his strength is extremely tyrannical. It is not surprising that he can have a rule in his hands. Mr. Jiusu, come out with a weapon. Mo Chun, who was fighting on the battlefield appearance, was also excited. You know, when Jiusu came to Ziwei Xinghe and swept through many star thief forces, they were all empty-handed and easily suppressed. Therefore Jix's god soldier, this Machin master, was also seen for the first time, and it was actually a spear that reached the level of the rule of treasure. Blood sword, I hope you can hold on for a long time in my hands, but don't die immediately. Jiusu smiled. Everyone said you're too arrogant. Jian Wushuang was too lazy to play tricks with Jiusu, and at the moment he saw Jiusu taking out the magic soldier, he already shot. The speed is still so strange and extremely fast, leaving a strange afterimage directly in the galaxy. His body burst into bursts, and the swift sword light came straight towards Jiusu. Jiusu just raised his head slightly, and the cold purple spear in his hand was stabbed directly forward. Ha! The sound of a metal impact sounded, and Jian Guang dimmed on the spot. Jian Wushuang also felt that his hands were a little numb, and his body was receding. This power. Jian Wushuang looked at Jiusu in surprise. When the magical soldiers were not used, the divine power of the 9 mustaches was already overwhelming. It can be said that they have reached the extreme level of the 4th level of domination. Power is even 10 times stronger than just now. Such terrible power. This is no longer in the category of the 4th level domination. The 5th series, although the realm is only the 4th series, but the divine power of the Jiuxia must have reached the threshold of the 5th series. The sword has no double-sided color, and becomes dignified. Dominated by the 4th level, he has fought many times, but he has encountered it for the first time. These 9 beards, although not really dominated by the 5th rank, have reached the level of dominated by the 5th rank in this might. Haha, blood sword, pick me up a few shots. Jiusu issued a hearty laughter, his body flickered, and the purple Sunglong lance in his hand was like a dragon flying out of the sea at this moment. Tip. Along with the terrible forest cold rays of light condensed, followed by another explosion. One shot after the other. The power was beyond the scope of the 4th level domination. Jian Wushuang also relied on more than understanding of the origin of the Kendo universe, and exerted powerful sword skills one after another to resist the thorns. However, Jian Wushuang's sword skill level is indeed very high, but in the divine power, it is only the normal 4th level to dominate the level. Compared with the Jutsu at this moment, the difference is indeed too much. These 9 mustaches are still extremely random. One shot followed one shot, and they did not use too much marksmanship. Just relying on brutal divine power, they have suppressed Jian Wushuang. These 9 beards are obviously only the masters of the 4th level, and they are not special lives, but his divine power is indeed beyond the scope of the 4th ranks. Not surprisingly, he should cultivate some incomparable special mystic skills. Jian Wushuang secretly said. Suppressed by Jix's marksmanship, Jian Wu's double figure looked a little dazed. Suddenly Jian Wu's body shape retreated sharply, pulling away from these 9 whiskers at the fastest speed. Why? I can't bear it so quickly, and want to admit defeat. If so, then you are too disappointed. Jiusu said lowly. Admit defeat? Jian Wushuang smiled. Jutsu, your strength is indeed very good. At least in the 4th level I encountered, you are the strongest one. So you are qualified to let I do my best. Oh, Jisu moved. You mean, you haven't come up with all the strength yet? There was a gleam of light in Jio's eyes. He is a penancer, and he is extremely belligerent. He is most eager to play against the real strong. At the beginning of the battle with sword warriors, Jiusu did hold a bit of expectation at the beginning, but this expectation was not too strong. After all, his own strength was too arrogant, and few of the 4th level masters could let him take it seriously. This time he played against Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang was able to force him to take out a weapon, which seemed very remarkable to him. But now, the other party said that he has not done his best so far? This makes Jisu a little excited. The master of the cosmic boat hasn't given up his full strength yet? How is that possible? The master of Machin was a little dreadful. Jian Wushuang, with a cold smile, said, Jisu, you are a 4th level master. You can force me to show all my strengths, and you are also proud. The words fell, and the sword was double again. It's the same shape, but this time the sword Wushuang was moving. There was a special force sweeping away. This power is truly the power of law. That's right, from the sword Wushuang came to the universe, including fighting against the star thieves and Ziwei Xinghe, and even the two leaders who beheaded the Vanity Star. Jian Wushuang relied on only his own power comparable to the fourth-level master, and their own understanding of kendo and swordplay. Even so, he is already the most extreme one in the 4th grade. Even in the face of this Jushu, which broke out in the 5th rank to dominate the divine power, he could barely fight. However, don't forget, the reason why Jian Wushuang is called an incredible genius, and the reason why he can be recognized by the veins of Hongyun and Lingyun Xing, is because he understands a bit of the law of the universe. He is a trace of the universe law at the level of the ruler of the rule. Now he has broken through and reached the domination, and because he has mastered the relationship between the heavenly will of the gods in the early days, his awareness of the law of the universe has been continuously improved over the years. Up to now, his understanding of the laws of the universe has reached a whole new level. Now, he has really crossed the threshold of entry to the laws of the universe. Chapter 40:19. Second more. Stepping into the threshold of the law of the universe, and barely comprehending it, are two completely different things. The power of the cosmic law of the sword warriors is much stronger than before. Before, it just barely incorporated the cosmic law into its own attacks to enhance its power. But now, he has directly triggered the laws of the universe, and even his own body speed has changed dramatically. Under the blessing of the laws of the universe, Sword Master Wuxia is completely weird, and can easily send out hundreds of thousands of phantoms in a flash. These phantoms are extremely real. Even the power of the master cannot detect which one. It is the deity. A sudden cold light lit up, and one of the magic swords in the hands of the phantom had fallen. The cold, dazzling sword, chopped off with the power of strong cosmic laws. Jiuzu's eyes narrowed. He already noticed that this sword was different from the sword technique that Jian Wushuang had performed before. But because of his absolute confidence in his own strength, he didn't care too much, and still stabbed the spear in his hand. It was another metal-like sound. This time, Jiuzu's look changed dramatically. From the sword light of Jian Wushuang, he felt an incomparably great power, which not only completely made up the gap between Jian Wushuang and his previous power, but also made Jian Wushuang's sword skill more mysterious and terrible. The swordless double body burst several times in succession, and each burst has numerous phantoms flashing out at the same time. Jiuzu couldn't keep up with the speed of Jian Wushuang, and when Jian Wushuang collided with his spear, Jiuzu was shocked to find that he was completely at a disadvantage. The law of the universe. It is the law of the universe. This blood sword actually understands the laws of the universe, and it is not just a trace of understanding. Jiuzu's eyes were shocked like never before. He is a pinancer, and his talent is not weak. Because of this, he can dominate the realm with the 4th rank, and exert the fighting power dominated by the 5th rank. You must know that in the universe, unless there are some special reasons, it is almost impossible for a 4th-ranking master to challenge the 5th-ranking master. But this must be done. He always thought that he was powerful and genius, but no matter how powerful he was, he would not be conceited to say that he was more anti-heaven than those who understand the laws of the universe. That's the law of the universe. The level of dominance, who can comprehend a trace of the laws of the universe. All are super strong, and in general are the 5th level, and even the ultimate level of domination. After all, the level of the laws of the universe is too high. Only when your own strength reaches a certain level can you more easily access the laws of the universe and have the opportunity to understand them. It can be said that even the 5th series, and even the ultimate level master can understand a trace of the law of the universe. There are few pitiful, and a 2nd series master has completely crossed the threshold of entry in the law of the universe. That is even more be a monster among monsters. Of course, these 9 beards are not known yet, but Jian Wushuang has realized a trace of the law of the universe at the level of the master of the rules. If he knew it, he would be even more shocked. On the battlefield, the situation changed instantly. Because of the blessing of the power of the laws of the universe, Jian Wushuang's strength soared to a whole new level. Not only was the speed and figure far more than Jiusu, the most important thing was that the power of swordsmanship also reached a new level. At least not weaker than Jiuzu's marksmanship, and even stronger. Haha. Great, amazing. Blood soared this battle. I was quite satisfied with the strength you have shown. But I didn't expect that you even exceeded my expectations completely. Haha. I realized that the rule of the universe is the master. Now let me take a look at how amazing the laws of the universe are. Jisu was almost excited at this moment. The law of the universe. He dreamed of feeling a trace of the cosmic law in his dreams, but let alone feelings, even if there was no chance of contact. He is not qualified to touch the laws of the universe. Even if these chaos eras break down, he meets countless powerful people, but none of them can understand a trace of the laws of the universe. The sword is unparalleled, but it is the first. Fighting with the strong one who understands the laws of the universe can also be said to be the first time Jiusu has actually come into contact with the laws of the universe. Would Jiusha not be surprised by such a once-in-lifetime opportunity? Jisu, I hope you don't let me down. Jian Wushuang made a cold voice. He is also eager for Jiushi to burst into super strength, which will allow him to truly fight all out. But now these 9 must show their strength, obviously not enough. Haha, come on, come on. Jiusu laughed wildly, and at the same time a large amount of cyan light rose from his body. This cyan light condensed, forming a huge blue ancient faint behind him Buddha. This ancient Buddha also has a blue lamp in his hand. Suddenly, the ancient Buddha opened his eyes, and the sky blue light completely replaced the light in Xinghe. The breath of Jiuzu's body suddenly skyrocketed at this moment. Boom, boom, boom. The void is falling apart one after another. At this moment, the spear in Jiuzu's hand looks like a huge star. This star also contains the terrifying power, as if it is about to erupt at any time. The spear burst out, stabbing one after another, as if the stars successively smashed toward the sword. Before, Jiusu only shot extremely indiscriminately, but now he has also used his best strength. Mysteries in marksmanship are also exhibited to the fullest, exuding one's own strength to the fullest. With the blessing of the power of the laws of the universe, Jian Wushuang burst into amazing power at the same time. The two figures collided and clashed in the Xinghe again and again. The battlefield was full of afterimages. There were monstrous divine power everywhere, and the terrible shock waves that continuously spread to the surroundings. Outside the battlefield that Machen ruled has long been stunned. Too strong, terrible. This is definitely not the power of the 4th series, but it has reached the 5th series. Mr. Jiusu, and the owner of this spacecraft, definitely has the 5th level combat power. Dominated by Mo Chun, his whole body and mind were trembling and roaring. The fierce battle in the middle of the battlefield has completely reached the stage of fever. Sword unparalleled. The power of his sword and the laws of the universe has been triggered to the extreme. The Jiusu also completely broke out his own marksmanship and mystery. But in the end, the two of them still had a good fight. This fierce battle lasted for half a quarter of an hour. Something unexpected happened. I originally planned to make 3 changes today. I updated it 2 days before the update. As a result, I could only make 2 changes. Chapter 4020. The first is more. It was another fierce confrontation. The entire Xinghe was completely under the violent impact of energy, and the figures of Jian Wushuang and Jiusu were finally separated again. Happily, this is the battle I long for. Jiuzu's eyes were red, and Liang was carrying a madness. Jian Wushuang's eyes were full of excitement. The strength of these 9 mustaches did not disappoint him. He had already exerted his own understanding of the laws of the universe to the fullest extent, and had fully exerted his sword skills. As a result, he could only compete with these 9 mustaches. The opponent's combat power is undoubtedly the 5th series, and among the 5th series dominates, it should still be the kind that can stand firm. Jiusu, Jian Wushuang said suddenly. Since you were specially invited by that person, you should know that when I beheaded and killed their 3 brothers, I performed a sword array. And now you also come feel the power of my sword formation. Jian Wushuang intends to perform the sword array. No matter how good the sword skill he just cast is, how powerful the power is. But the sword is very clear. His strongest is the 3 sword arrays he created. And these 3 major sword arrays, he has never been exhibited yet. Is the sword array? Jiu Zu's eyes and pupils shrank, and his heart also looked with a touch of expectation. Sword Wushuang shot, and saw the power of an invisible magic circle spread out, while rising with the majestic sword. The whole world suddenly became cold and cold. An unprecedented sense of killing flooded the entire Gouda galaxy. The hazy mist, like a tide, swept away, covering the entire battlefield in a blink of an eye. Being on the battlefield, that is the center of the sword formation, Jiusu can clearly feel the arrogance of that killing sword. It's terrible to kill the sword, and the sword alone is enough to make the general 3rd series, and even the 4th series dominate the courage to contend. Jiusu also secretly shocked. When Mo Chun, who was outside the battlefield, saw the sword array displayed by Jian Wushuang, his body shuddered. At first, he and his 2 brothers and 3 men joined forces to slay Jian Wushuang. In the end, Jian Wushuang used this sword array to easily kill his 2 brothers, and even he could only use life-saving mystery to escape. But at that time, Jian Wushuang did not trigger the laws of the universe. Now give full play to the law of the universe, and then cast this sword array. The power is naturally stronger. The hazy sword formation took shape, and the endless killings flooded the entire sword formation. And that large swath of fog has completely covered the galaxy. In the fog, a sword light, directly illuminated without any signs, directly cut to the skull of Jiusu. So fast and suddenly, Jiusu was also taken aback. He didn't see how the Jingguang was formed at all. Only he knew that Jingguang suddenly appeared in front of him, quickly caught him by surprise, only barely raised his hand, blocking the spear in front of him. Clang! A low impact sounded, and the power contained in the sword light also shocked Jiusu. That power was completely comparable to a 5th-level master, who gave his full blow. If it is a head-to-head attack, he is not afraid of such an attack, and he is confident that he can resist it. But now in this sword array, the sword light appears too weird, and the speed is too fast. Blocked the first Jingguang. Immediately the second Jingguang quietly swept from the void beside. Not good. Jiusu stared, and turned around quickly, but it was too late to resist, and he could only do his best to procure the body armor of the body, and a powerful body power broke out. Pung! Jingguang directly bombarded Juxa's body. Even though Juxa's body armor is the strongest treasure of the highest level, it can't resist the attack of Wu Weeping Sword. At the moment of contact, Jingguang, the terror power contained in it has exceeded the endurance limit of this arcane warframe. The mighty power is passed madly into the body of Jiusu. As a pinancer, Jiusu is involved in various methods. In terms of the strength of the gods, it is also quite useful, but under such attacks, the body was also severely damaged. Puff! I saw a large mouthful of blood spurting out of Juxa's mouth. Juxa's body was trembling, and he burst out. This sword directly consumed Juxa's divine power by more than 10%. But after this sword, immediately it was a silent Jingguang attack. It's too fast and weird. This sword formation completely obscured the power of my soul. I fell into this sword formation. I couldn't find the location of the blood sword at all. I didn't even see where he made the sword. And his sword skills mighty, really terrible. Jiusu looked ugly, and he tried his best to struggle in this sword formation. But in the face of Jingguang, who suddenly attacked from the surrounding area, he seemed extremely passive. Just 2 Jingguang attacks have already wounded him, and after only a few moments in his sword array, he has withstood 3 Jingguang attacks, and his power has been lost by nearly 40%. There is no doubt that Jiusu has been hit hard. Boom! A sudden outburst of mighty power broke out, and the mist that had always existed in the sword array was directly oppressed and dispersed to the surrounding area, exposing the sword unparalleled figure in front of the sword array. Jian Wushuang looked at Jiujiu in the sword array in amazement. It's so powerful that I have been severely hit by it. I can forcibly impact my sword array and let the mist in my sword array dissipate. Blood sword. In the center of the sword array, Jusu has blood on his mouth, scarlet eyes staring at Jian Wushuang. Since he became a penancer, he has challenged countless powerful men since he has smashed across the universe. And many of them have a 4th level, some of the most pinnacle and dazzling geniuses in the number. Even I have played against several 5th-ranked lords, but among all the strong players I have played against can take me seriously. Well, I'm driving to such a field now. You have been the 3rd since a long time. The first 2 are dominated by the 5th level. And you are just the 2nd level. You are terrible. Your talent is the strongest person I have ever met. You are qualified to see my strongest killing trick. Although Jiusu was hit hard, the war intention in his eyes has not weakened at all, but it is getting more and more vigorous. The strongest killing trick? Jian Wushuang's eyes brightened. As for what Jiusu said was the 3rd in a long time, he didn't care at all. What he cared about was Jiuzu's strength, and what he said was the strongest killing move. Bring it on, Jian Wushuang whispered, and he looked forward to it. Chapter 40-21. Second more. Blood sword, you be careful, Jiusu kindly reminded him, but following the light in the stars and rivers around him, he was completely dimmed. The entire universe is completely turned into a darkness. In this dark world, the spear in the hands of Jiusu suddenly turned into a dazzling purple light. This purple light demon is extremely charming. Once it appeared, it immediately became the focus of this boundless dark world. Jian Wushuang couldn't help but look at this purple light. Night magic light. Jiusu's mouth issued a burst of drink. The purple light burst out at a horrible speed in a short time. Jian Wushuang stood there, and at the moment the purple light burst at him, a tremendous pressure rose in his heart. With his knowledge, it is natural to see how terrible the power contained in this purple light is. This trick is very strong, stronger than the strongest swordplay I have created. Jian Wushuang couldn't help but marvel. And the next moment, the sword in his sky rose directly. The vastness of Jiani condensed into substance on his body, and a heavy sword-like barrier condensed in the blink of an eye. On this sword-like barrier, the power of the magic circle pervades. Earth Guard Sword Formation, one of the 3 strongest sword formations created by Jian Wushuang. The sword formation with the strongest body protection ability. With this move, Jian Wushuang will never be used to kill the enemy, but only to protect his body. It should be known that the defense ability of the earth guarding the sword array is extremely powerful. At the beginning of the Tai Kingdom, the sword's full strength could only condense dozens of earth sword areas to form a sword array. But since he broke through to become the master and mastered the power of heavenly will in the early days, his understanding of kendo and his understanding of the formation method have been unprecedentedly improved. His 3 sword formation powers have not been compared to the past. The current Earth Guardian sword array, created by Sword Wushuang, can instantly form a sword array composed of 132 heavy sword barriers. The reason why it is only 132 weights is because the Sword Wushuang's promotion of the Earth Guardian sword formation in these years did not purely increase the number of sword-like barriers, but focused on its quality. There is no doubt that this heavy sword barrier is terrible for any heavy body defense. A single heavy sword barrier may not be able to break even if the 4th level dominates the shot with full force, but it is sufficient here. The weight is 132, and there is the blessing of the power of the law formation, which makes the Earth Guardian sword array indestructible. Probably the strongest killing trick that these 9 must use in front of him. The power is indeed towering. Even though it is estimated that the 5th level dominate can pose a great threat. But once the Guardian Sword of the Earth comes out, the Sword Wushuang has absolute confidence. No matter how strong Jux's strongest killing trick is, he firmly believes that his Earth Guardian sword formation can completely resist it. Sure enough, the most dazzling purple light in the darkness was fiercely bombarded on the Earth Guardian sword formation. The terrible might erupted, and the heavy sword-like barrier suddenly collapsed. But this purple light just broke the dozens of heavy sword barriers. and could no longer move in the slightest. Sure enough, my earth guards the sword array, and has never let me down. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly, but his smile solidified the next moment. Dead. Jiu Zu's eyes were so explosive that his face became extremely frightened at this moment. I saw you in front of the dazzling purple light, the purple demon spear, the tip of which has entered the Earth Guardian Sword formation, but was blocked by the heavy sword barrier of the Earth Guardian Sword formation. Chapter 40-22. 3 more arrived today. Furious. Jian Wushuang was completely angry now. Although from the beginning, he had a hint of vigilance against these 9 beards. And he has always been extra cautious in fierce battles. But as the battle became more and more fierce, the 9 beards have also been extremely excited. This excitement is purely due to encountering real opponents, as is Jian Wushuang. The difference in strength between the two is not so big. Jiusu is a pincer. He finally encountered a decent opponent, let alone Jian Wushuang. He rushed all the way from the beginning of the Divine Realm, but did not meet a real decent opponent on the way. Now it's hard to come across. The opponent's strength and methods surprised Jian Wushuang. Naturally, he felt a sense of regret. When Jian Wushuang was hitting Jiusu, he was going to stop. He didn't want to kill Jiusu. But whoever thought that the 9 mustaches directly hit the killer, and he had been disguised very well before he hit the killer, and he deliberately reminded him when he shot, asking him to be careful, which made Jian Wushuang's heart feel relieved. But the result, attention. Jian Wushuang's heart was cold. He did care, of course. It can be said that he was too confident in his Guardian Sword formation. He confidently relied on the Earth Guardian Sword formation to withstand the strongest killing tricks of the 9 whiskers, but forgot that the Earth Guardian Sword formation was not truly impeccable, facing the kind of soul attack, or the kind of soul attack substantial attacks, cannot be resisted by the Guardian Sword formation. In addition, the Jiusu disguise is really good. From the beginning to the end is a militant, excited to meet a decent opponent and looked crazy, even the sword unparalleled. Fortunately, he is the perfect level of life, and his divine power is indeed vast enough to survive the corrosion of the red mist. If you change to someone else, you can't die any longer. In the battlefield, Jiu Zu's face was embarrassed, and his eyes on Xiang Jinshuang were cold, but his heart was sneer. This blood sword, however, is dominated by the 2nd level, but his strength means is definitely the 5th level. Even I am not his opponent. The realm has so great a span. He must have obtained it before. Fortunately, 80% of his body also has big secrets. As long as he kills him, I will know what secrets he has. Although Jiushu has always been a militant's posture, it looks bright and clear, and it is necessary to compete with Jian Wushuang by strength. But in fact he was very dark inside, and always knew clearly in his mind. From the moment when Jian Wushuang showed his true strength, he had already made up his mind to find a way to kill Jian Wushuang. It's a pity that Jian Wushuang is too strong. He couldn't help doing everything he could, and he was even hit by the opponent. No way, he can only show his strongest killing trick. His strongest killing move seemed to be the terrible shot, and the power was really overwhelming. There is no doubt that, in fact, the terrible shot was just a guise. His real killing trick was the red mist that erupted under the gun. The red mist was his coincidence in the secret territory of one side of heaven and earth, and obtain the treasure left by an ultimate master. The ultimate master is a strong who is good at poisoning. The red mist is the strong, one of the remaining poisonous. Only a small part of this highly toxic is enough to kill the 5th level master. Even if it is the ultimate master, if it is accidentally damaged by a large amount of red mist, it will still die. Jiusu originally relied on this trick to wander through the various territories of the universe, the biggest whole card that has not died for so many years. Before encountering Jian Wushuang, Jiusu had also encountered 2 real crises. Both of his opponents were dominated by the 5th series, and his strength was much stronger than him. As a result, he relied on this most. The strong killing, relying on the red mist, successfully countered the 2 5th-level masters. Now Jian Wushuang has suffered the same trick. He saw a lot of red mist entering Jian Wushuang's body, He knew this battle and he won. Not only did he win, but after the death of the blood sword in front of him, the secrets in his body, including the many treasures he left behind, and the cosmic boat, were all his. According to his estimation, sword unparalleled swords, the gains he can get may be more than that of the two fifth-ranked dominators. These 9 must be eager to wait. Suddenly, Jian Wushuang, standing in front of him, opened his eyes directly. "Jisoo, you're fine." The cold voice also came from Jian Wushuang's mouth. How is it possible? Jio's eyes were wide and his face was incredible. Even the 5th series master, inhaling the same dose of mist, will certainly die. There is no doubt that a 2nd series master dominates. How can he live? Come down. Jux's heart was full of puzzles and couldn't believe it. But in fact went in front of him. "I'm not dead, but you are going to die soon." Jian Wushuang has no sympathy. Boom. 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 The 3 dazzling golden lights lit up suddenly, and saw 3 huge town monuments rising directly. As soon as these 3 town monuments appeared, they immediately swept to 3 different positions and combined with each other. And a huge golden circle formed instantly. The magic town of heaven and magic, at this moment directly triggered its power. This is the rule of repression is precious. Full 3 respects. Jiusu was frightened. He was horrified to find that under this golden circle, he was under a tremendous force of repression, which greatly weakened the strength he could exert. Followed by the sword Wushuang, but the sword came out. Wow! The endless ocean of swordsmanship swept directly out at this moment. This sword means that the ocean is huge and immense, and it is permeated throughout the galaxy. The 3 lightest sword formations created by Jian Wushuang are the lightsaber formations. Wave light sword formation, although it is only one of the 3 major sword formations, and the sword Swordsman was originally created to trap the enemy entangled sword formation. Since the sword Swordsman has obtained 3 town monuments, can after sending out the Magic Town Sky Magic Array, relying on the combined power of the Magic Town Sky Magic Array and Wave Lightsaber Array. This wave of lightsaber formations has undoubtedly become the strongest killing move in swordless hands. Even the hazy sword formation that focuses on attacking power is far inferior to the wave lightsaber formation in killing the enemy. Previously, Jian Wushuang had cast the hazy sword formation and the earth guard sword formation successively. As for the light sword formation, he had never performed it. Until now, after Jiusu really angered him, Jian Wushuang's strength no longer had any reservations. For a moment, Shenma Zintiampha Array was perfectly combined with Wave Lightsaber Array. Jian Wushuang's strongest killing trick is truly displayed in the universe. Chapter 40-23. The first is more. What? Jiusu looked with horror at the huge and vast ocean of golden swords that appeared in front of him. This golden sword-like ocean is endless and has an indescribable power. And this sword-like ocean is clearly perfectly integrated with the surrounding golden circle. Voila! The huge golden ocean is rolling, the endless golden sword-like waves, one after another hit directly towards Jiusu. Jiusu had no time to be shocked, so he had to quickly use his means to resist the impact of this golden sword. However, just a wave of golden sword-likeness shocked Jiusu. The 5th series, the power of this golden sword-like wave, is absolutely no less than the full blow of the 5th series. Even me, I must go all out to show my best skills to resist. If it's just a double golden sword-like wave, Jiusu will not care. But the key is that under the sweep of the golden sword-like ocean, the mighty golden sword-like wave followed the heavy one, and raged at him like a sea. In just a moment's effort, he encountered more than a dozen heavy golden sword-like waves. Under such shocks, he must make every effort to show his unique skills to resist, and he can show his skills more than 10 times in a row, which is extremely huge for his magical power. In addition, these 9 beards were in the hazy sword formation before being double created by the sword. The magic power has been consumed by nearly half. Now they are in the wave light sword formation, and oppressed by the magic town Tianfa formation. This heavy golden sword the waves came, and Jiusu was completely frightened. Endless, the impact of this sword-like wave is endless. Even if my strength is at its peak, I am afraid I can barely support it for a while in this sword array, let alone I have been hit hard now. Escape, escape. Jiusu no longer wanted to slay the sword unparalleled. He is now completely frightened. Just want to escape here first. After years of rushing down, although he has also encountered several crises, he can finally defeat by his means. But now facing Jian Wushuang, there is really nothing he can do. He can only escape. However, he is now trapped in the town of heaven and magic. With the current strength of Jian Wushuang, relying on the three magic towns and towns of heaven and earth evoked by the magic of the town of heaven and magic, that mighty force is extremely extreme, directly suppressing this galaxy. Even though Jiusu is the 4th-ranked ultimate master, combat power it is comparable to the 5th series. But he is far from easy to get rid of the repression of the gods and magic circles. No. Jiusu screamed. He wanted to escape, and even had to perform the life-saving secret. But in the face of the golden sword-like ocean that was madly sweeping around him, he didn't have any space or opportunity to escape. He could only watch his divine power be consumed continuously, and his breath was constantly weakened. It's over. Jiusu was completely desperate, and his heart was even mourning. He was unwilling to die like this, let alone die in the hands of a 2nd-level master. But no matter how unwilling he is, the power gap between him and Jian Wushuang is still there. Before Jian Wushuang did not use the 3 major sword arrays, these 9 beards could indeed be comparable to Jian Wushuang's fight. But when Jian Wushuang's 3 major sword arrays came out, these 9 beards were no longer their opponents. In fact, if these 9 mustaches are not too greedy, and have no intention of killing, if they want to kill Jian Wushuang should spare his life. But unfortunately the 9 mustaches themselves to death. He thought he was the strongest killer, and even the 5th-ranked master would undoubtedly die. The 2nd-ranked master of Swordsman Wuxia should have been captured, but the Swordsman Wuxia survived. It was a heavy golden sword wave, and the Jice's body finally couldn't support it, and it collapsed directly, and its life was instantly cut off. When Jiusu died, his spear, armor and instantaneous treasures that had been integrated into his body all floated in the void, and his Qingquan ring also remained. Jian Wushuang waved his hand and took away all these treasures. Followed by Jian Wushuang, he converged on the god magic town Tianfa formation, and returned the 3 town monuments to Qingquan ring. After doing all this, Jian Wushuang's eyes only looked to the side of the void. In that direction, the original Machin Lord from the Void Star has always stood there to watch the battle. However, as the battle progressed to the final stage, when Jiusu fell into the wave of lightsaber formation, and finally struggling, the Machin Lord see it naturally. Mo Chen's dominance never imagined that even Jiusu was not an opponent of Jian Wushuang, and it looked like he was about to die in the hands of Jian Wushuang. Jiusu was invited by him to avenge his 2 brothers. Now Jiusu is about to die. How dare he stay? Therefore, while Jiusu was still dying, the master of Machin had sneaked away. No way, he wasn't in the battlefield. When Jian Wushuang evoked Shima Xintian for array, he didn't cover him, and Jian Wushuang was dealing with Jiusu with all his heart. Let him slip away. He's lucky. Jian Wushuang snorted coldly, and waved his sleeve robe. He turned and walked towards the spacecraft. In Xinghe, which is not far from the battlefield just now, Na Moken's dominance turned into a streamer, hurried through the Xinghe. He didn't dare to stop for a moment, for fear that the owner of the spacecraft would chase after him after killing Jiusu. In his eyes, it was an unprecedented shock. Even Mr. Jiuxiu, isn't he the opponent of the spacecraft master? And it looks like he will soon die. The shock in Mo Chen's dominance, let alone how strong it is. When he went to ask Jiusu, he had absolute confidence in the latter. The latter's strength made him desperate, but he did not expect that such a superpower was killed by the cosmic boat master. Even Mr. Jiusu was killed by him. This Ziwei Xing Hanoi really can't find anyone who threatens the owner of the spacecraft. I want to avenge my 2 brothers, I'm afraid it's impossible. Mo Chen sighed heavily. He wanted revenge, but he was too strong. Strong makes him desperate. The most important thing is the talent and potential shown by the other party. After all, the opponent is just a second-level master, and the second-level master can now kill the Jiuxiu, who has the fifth-level master. And it will be fine after that. It can be said that Jian Wushuang's strength and talent have completely made him unable to revenge. Chapter 40-24. Second More. Inside the spacecraft. As soon as Jian Wushuang came in, cold as frost and magic flame greeted him immediately. Fu Jun, are you okay? Lung Rushuang looked with a hint of worry. It's okay, but it's really dangerous just now. If I weren't for the perfect level of life, I'm afraid I'm dead. Jian Wushuangdo. The face was as cold as frost. Although she and Moyan just stayed in the cosmic boat just now, the scenes on the outside battlefield were all clearly visible. That Jutsu had the strongest killing trick, especially the hidden red mist attack, which can be said to be beyond everyone's expectations. She was watching Jian Wushuang's trick, and she almost ran out of the cosmic boat at that time. Or the flames held her. It's my intention. Jian Wushuang's voice was low. I'm too small for the strong in the universe. He rose from the early world of the gods, and has gone all the way to today, and has encountered countless crises during this period. But there are many crises that he has prepared mentally. Most of the powerful methods of the gods in the early days, Jian Wushuang mostly knows, and he has the bottom of his heart. But the universe is different. The universe is vast and immense, and the strong are countless. Because of this has created a variety of strange ways in the universe. Not only are there many types of these methods, the key is that they are all terrible and unpredictable. Like this time Jian Wushuang learned, those 9 must have just qualified as a militant. He has to use his strongest attacking trick to compete with him. Whoever thought that there was a terrorist killing hidden in the strongest attacking trick, even he was not careful, hit it. The vast universe is far more cruel than the beginning of the world. Although I have experienced many storms in the beginning of the world, after all, I have just arrived in the universe, and I don't know too much about this universe. I compared to the entire universe is still very young. Jian Wushuang secretly said. Immature. He can only use this word to describe himself. Although he also lived for hundreds of thousands of years, and experienced many storms, it was only the first time to venture into the universe. Master, the degree of cruelty in the universe is far from what you can imagine. What you see now is nothing but the fur in the entire universe. I once wandered in the universe for a long time. In this long time, in the rush, I summarized a sentence, that is, in the universe, do not believe anyone except yourself. Everyone besides himself may be an enemy. Be careful and be cautious everywhere to live longer. As for what is sympathetic in a fierce battle, or has a kind heart, this kind of person can't live too long. Mo Yin also said in a deep voice. I see. Jian Wushuang nodded. Eating a maggot and a wise man. This time Jian Wushuang received a lesson. In the future, in the universe, no matter who the opponent is, even if he has no intention of killing himself, he has to beware of the opponent's possible killing at any time. Even if a well-known old man is in front of him, it is also possible to suddenly stretch out his cold and dark minions. By the way, Jiuxiu is also a powerful 4th series player. His combat power is comparable to that of the 5th series master. He is also a penancer. His net worth should be great. Kill him, but he hasn't searched his treasures well. Jian Wushuang smiled, and immediately waved his hand, and took out the many treasures left after Jisoo died with Qianquan Ring. Jian Wushuang first looked at the treasure that emerged directly from the body of God after Jiusu died. These treasures are all refined by Jiuxiu, and Jiuxiu uses them directly, like the spear and armor, in addition to a black ring and a strange gray bead. The spear and the armor are already known. The purple spear is the rule of treasure, but the breath is only the grade of the rule of inferiority, and its value is estimated to be between 100 and 200 source rocks of the universe. As for that armor, it is the strongest treasure at the highest level, and it is not worth it. Jian Wushuang now mainly looks at the black ring and the strange gray beads. He first looked at the black ring, and his consciousness merged directly. Is it the domain treasure? Jian Wushuang frowned, then shook his head immediately. The domain treasure is the strongest treasure at the highest level. But since it is not a rule treasure, you can't make swords matchless interested. Immediately following Jian Wushuang and looking at the weird gray beads, a simple swipe of consciousness, Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up directly. The rule is precious. And it is extremely precious. The rules of soul defense are extremely precious. Jian Wushuang was excited throughout his body and mind. The rule of treasure is extremely precious, and any piece of attack rule of treasure is worth more than 100 universe source stones. The rules of attacking the treasure are just the most common rules of treasure. The armors at the level of the rule of treasure, as well as the treasures of domain and repression, naturally have higher value. The Zhentian steel like Jian Wushuang is much more valuable than the ordinary attack rule, the precious treasure. Of course, because the Zhentianbei is the standard rule treasure, it is not so precious. The law of soul defense is precious, which is precious. The soul is the core of a practitioner. In the universe, strength reaches the level of domination, and it is very necessary to protect your soul. After all, there are many strong men who are good at soul in this universe. Such strong men cannot resist by means of strength, to bear purely by the power of your own soul. At this time, a soul defense class treasure is extremely important. In terms of value, the soul defense type is extremely precious. Among the same level of treasure, it is definitely the most precious one. Jian Wushuang now obtains from the treasures left by Jiusu. The gray dominator and the purple spear are rule treasures. In terms of value, this gray dominator is definitely more than 10 times the purple spear. With gray beads alone, if you sell it in Judy Pavilion, you can definitely sell more than 1,000 cosmic source stones. Haha, I sent it. Jian Wushuang laughed out loud. The rules of soul defense are treasures. The flames of magic flames lit up. This level of rules of treasures is enough to attract a lot of 5th level masters. Even the ultimate masters will pay attention. These 9 beasts, dominated by a 4th ranked number, have such treasures in their hands? It can be seen that the magic flame is also quite shocked. Even in his heyday, there were many rules of treasure in his hands, but the soul defense rules of treasure, even if it was only inferior, was still enough for him to attach great importance. After all, the highest level of treasure used in his heyday was only the top quality rule. The value of this top-level soul defense rule is precious, and its value is very close to that of the top quality rule. C 4025 was published. Chapter 4025 was published in the Universe Boat. As soon as Jian Wushuang entered, Lung Rushuang and Devil Flame immediately came up to him. "Darling, are you okay?" Lung Rushuang asked with a hint of worry in her eyes. "I'm fine, but it was really dangerous. If I wasn't at the perfect life level, I would have died," Jian Wushuang said. Lung Rushuang's face darkened. Although she and Devil Flame had stayed in the Universe Boat, they had clearly seen the battlefield outside. Nine Whiskers had used his most powerful killing move, especially the attack of the hidden red fog. It was beyond everyone's expectations. She had seen Jian Wushuang get hit, and she had almost run out of the Universe Boat. It was the Devil Flame that held her back. "I was careless," Jian Wushuang said in a low voice. "I underestimated the experts in the universe." He had risen from the divine beginning realm and encountered countless crises along the way. However, he was mentally prepared for many of those crises. Jian Wushuang knew most of the techniques of the experts in the divine beginning realm, so he was confident. But the universe was different. The universe was vast and boundless, and there were countless experts. Because of this, there were all kinds of strange techniques in the universe. Not only were there many kinds of techniques, but they were also terrifying and impossible to guard against. This time, Jian Wushuang saw it for himself. Nine Whiskers was a fighter just now, and wanted to use his strongest move to fight with him. Who would have thought that there was a terrifying killer move hidden in his strongest move? Even he was accidentally hit by it. The vast universe is much more cruel than the divine beginning realm. Although I have experienced many storms in the divine beginning realm, I have just entered the universe and don't know much about it. I am still very young compared to the entire universe, Jian Wushuang thought. Young. He could only use this word to describe himself. Even though he had lived for hundreds of thousands of years and experienced many storms, it was still his first time venturing into the universe. Ruler. The cruelty of the universe is far beyond what you can imagine. What you are seeing now is just the surface of the entire universe. I once ventured into the universe for a very long time. During this long period of adventuring, I summed up a sentence. That is, in the universe, other than yourself, don't trust anyone else. Except for yourself, everyone around you can be your enemy. You have to be vigilant and careful in order to live longer. As for those who are merciful in fierce battles, they won't live long, Devil Flame said in a low voice. I understand. Jian Wushuang nodded. He had learned from his mistakes. This time, Jian Wushuang had learned a lesson. In the future, no matter who his opponent was in the universe, even if he did not have the intention to kill, he had to be careful that his opponent might use his killer move at any time. Even if the person in front of him was a well-known good man, he could still suddenly reach out to him with his dark and cold principles. By the way, Nine Whiskers is an expert at the pinnacle of the 4th level, and his battle strength is comparable to a 5th level ruler. He is also an ascetic, so he must be rich. Although I killed him, I haven't checked his treasures. Jian Wushuang smiled. Then he waved his hand and took out the treasures and interspatial ring that Nine Whiskers had left behind after his death. Jian Wushuang first looked at the treasures that were revealed from Nine Whiskers' divine body after his death. Nine Whiskers had already recognized and refined these treasures, so Nine Whiskers used them directly. For example, the long spear and armor, a black ring, and a strange gray bead. Jian Wushuang already knew about the long spear and armor. The purple long spear was a principal supreme treasure, but judging from its aura, it was only a low-grade principal supreme treasure. Its value was estimated to be between 100 and 200 universe origin stones. As for the armor, it was a supreme-grade supreme treasure, so it was not worth much. Jian Wushuang was mainly looking at the black ring and the strange gray bead. He first looked at the black ring, and his consciousness directly merged with it. Is it a domain-type supreme treasure? Jian Wushuang raised his eyebrows and then shook his head. Although a domain-type supreme treasure was a supreme-grade supreme treasure, since it was not a principal supreme treasure, it could not interest Jian Wushuang. Then Jian Wushuang looked at the strange gray bead. With a simple sweep of his consciousness, Jian Wushuang's eyes lit up. A principal-type supreme treasure, and it's an extremely precious one, a soul defense-type supreme treasure. Jian Wushuang was excited both physically and mentally. A principal-type supreme treasure was extremely precious. Any attack-type supreme treasure was worth more than 100 universe origin stones. However, an attack-type principal supreme treasure was only an ordinary principal supreme treasure. A principal supreme treasure armor, a domain-type, and a suppression-type principal supreme treasure were naturally more valuable. For example, Jian Wushuang's Heaven Suppression Tablet was much more valuable than an ordinary attack-type principal supreme treasure. Of course, because the Heaven Suppression Tablet was a standard principal supreme treasure, it was not very valuable. As for a soul defense-type principal treasure, it was precious. After all, the soul was the core of a cultivator. In the universe, it was necessary to protect one's soul when one's strength reached the ruler level. After all, there were many experts in the universe who specialized in the soul aspect. When such experts used soul attacks, it was impossible for them to defend themselves. They could only rely on their own soul power to withstand it. At this time, a soul defense-type true treasure, 9, was particularly important. In terms of value, a soul defense-type true treasure was definitely the most precious among all true treasures of the same level. The Gray Ruler and the Purple Spear Jian Wushuang had obtained from the treasures left behind by Nine Whiskers were both principal true treasures. However, in terms of value, the Gray Ruler was definitely more than 10 times as valuable as the Purple Spear. If the gray pearls were sold in the 9 Emperor Pavilion, they could be sold for more than 1,000 universe origin stones. Haha, I'm rich. Jian Wushuang laughed. A principal true treasure of the soul defense type? Devil Flame's eyes lit up. A principal true treasure of this level is enough to attract many 5th level rulers. Even an ultimate level ruler would take it seriously. Chapter 40-26. The first is more. If you look at the name, Wanzhong Demon Sect is good at poisoning, but the coldness at first was a poisonous body derived from congenital sin. This Wanzhong Demon Sect fits her exactly, Jian Wushuang secretly said, knowing where Lung Ruxia was, but Jian Wushuang did not rush to Lei Hengxing realm, but went to the Jyoti Pavilion of Ziwei Star Domain. 9 Emperor Pavilion. The power is spread across all territories of the universe. Ziwei Xinghe is a medium-sized star field. During this period, the scale of the Jiodian Pavilion was far beyond that of the Jyoti Pavilion in the same star domain as Jian Wushuang. On top of a huge Earth star, towering loft temples stand, and the entire Earth star is covered by a giant law formation. This law formation exudes an ancient and majestic breath. From the breath alone, it can be seen that this law formation is extremely arrogant. I am afraid that even if the 4th series, or even the 5th series dominates the presence, it is difficult to shake the law. In the slightest, flight is prohibited in the Jade Pavilion. So practitioners who come to trade in the Jade Pavilion must enter it honestly through the entrance, and after entering the Jade Pavilion, they can only walk. Jian Wushuang, as cold as frost holding hands, walked side by side into the Jyoti Pavilion, while the demon flame followed him respectfully. As for the spacecraft, Qian Wuyan had been taken back by Jian Wushuang. At the center of the trading of Jyoti Pavilion, you can see the many treasures displayed in the surroundings, and the practitioners who come and go. At present, the number of practitioners trading in the Jyoti Pavilion is extremely large. Although most of them are still the masters of the rules, there are still many masters, and even some masters of the 2nd and 3rd ranks exist. Dominate. The piece that was put into the early world of the divine realm did not enter the meteor field. Naturally, it is the top powerhouse. The number is very small, and it is difficult to see one on weekdays. However, in the vast universe is not much. Ziwei Starfield is a medium-sized starfield, with a very large number of dominators, and Jyoti Pavilion is the largest trading center in the entire Ziwei Starfield, and it naturally dominates a lot. As soon as the 3 swordsmen of the sword entered the trading center, the waiters in the Jyoti Pavilion saw that the swordsmen of the swordsmen were extraordinary, and immediately greeted them. 3 adults. I don't know if there is anything I can do for Jyoti Pavilion? This waiter, who is just the master of the rules, is very respectful. Jian Wushuang didn't speak, just took out a sign. The waiter at Jyoti Pavilion was staring at the moment when he saw the sign, but followed the look with more respect and awe. 3 adults, please follow me. Under the guidance of this waiter, the 3 swordsmen came to an independent secret room, where a purple man received them. Bloodsword friend, am one of the 3 directors in the Jyoti Pavilion of Ziwei Starfield. My name is Bama. The Z smiled. This Barmer, as one of the directors of the Jyoti Pavilion, has the power of the 4th rank. If he simply talks about the breath, he is much higher than the 3 swordsmen, but he faces the swordless man. At that time, there was no slight shelf, but rather enthusiasm. Hello, Director Barmer. Jian Wushuang greeted with a smile. I don't know, Bloodsword, what do you need? Barmer asked. I need some high-level special spar. You better come up with a list, and let me choose by myself. Jian Wushuangdo. No problem. Barmer quickly compiled a list and handed it to Jian Wushuang. Bloodsword boyfriend. The spar on this list is owned by my 9 Emperor's Pavilion. If you need it, it can be delivered to you immediately, as far as the level is concerned. Jian Wushuang took the list, glanced briefly, nodded slightly, and turned the list to the magic flame behind him. Magic flame, look at it. After the flames took over, they also browsed. Half-sounded, the magic flame said, Master, the spar above is of very high quality, many of which are higher than the gold fire magic stone and the ice yuan crystal. The restoration of the divine body is very useful, especially if these 3 kinds of spar are given me 20. My divine body will be enough to recover about 40%. That's okay. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly. Then he pointed to the 3 kinds of crystals that Moyen said, and said, "These 3 types of crystals each give me 20. No problem." Barmer nodded. "These 3 kinds of spar, 20 of them, all add up. I count your 300 cosmic source stones." 300. Jian Wushuang smiled. "Not expensive." "It is not expensive. You should know that when he bought the gold fire magic stone in the star field, where he was, a gold fire magic stone was calculated according to 1 universe source stone. The value of the golden fire demon stone is far inferior to the 3 kinds of spar currently selected by the demon flame. And Jian Wushuang bought 60 such crystals at one time. But only 300 cosmic source stones are cheap enough. Of course, this is also because the spar that Jian Wushuang now needs, which is already in the Ziwei star field, and does not need to be sent from other star fields. So the price is indeed much cheaper. I need a few more rules of treasure." Jian Wushuang began to pick the rule from the Polaroid. Of course, he is not choosing the rule treasure for himself. After all, he already has the Wu Cry Excalibur on the attack. But the rule treasure of the top grade is extremely valuable, enough for him to use. And he also has 3 town monuments, and the rule of repression is also precious. If he really wants the rule of the treasure, what he needs to estimate is the treasure of the treasure, or the rule of the domain or flying. However, that type of rule is extremely valuable, and the value is too high. Anyone is estimated to be thousands of cosmic source stones. Sword Wushuang killed Jiusu. Although he obtained a lot of wealth, it is not luxurious to direct for yourself. Choose the treasures of Warframe, Realm or Flight. He is now choosing Arcane for his frosty and magic flames. Needless to say, the magic flame is very important to Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang now spends 300 cosmic source stones to restore the magic flame's strength without accident. As long as the magic flame gets those spar, if he restores his own body to about 40%, then his strength should be able to recover to the extreme of the 4th series, or even the 5th series, and by his means he will be in the 5th series. It is definitely a very strong combat force. If it is matched with a rule of treasure suitable for his casting, the combat power will naturally be stronger. And cold as frost, it is his wife. Jian Wushuang will not hesitate to his own breath, directly killing Jiusha. The soul defense type of the treasure is obtained. He gave cold as frost. Now naturally also frost will be equipped with a rule of attack treasure. After all, he came to Ziwei Star this time, originally to finish his wife and the cold snow. Chapter 40-27. Second More. Soon Jian Wushuang gave cold as frost and magic flame separately, and chose their own rules. Lung Wushuang chose a long whip, while Demon Flame chose a scarlet claw soldier. These 2 rules are the most precious soldiers, which greatly improve their strength. And these 2 rules are extremely precious. Together with all the special spar, they used the cosmic source stone of Jian Wushuang 600. And Jian Wushuang used Jinyuan God Fruit in order to cultivate the supreme immortal mystic. Therefore, he owed a cosmic source stone to Jyoti Pavilion. This time Jian Wushuang also returned together. But even so, there are still some single source stones that Jian Wushuang obtained from Jiusu Qingquan Ring, plus Jian Wushuang from the hands of the Star Demon Ancestor and Demon Star Master. What I got, as well as my own collections over the years, all add up. And there are still about 500 remaining cosmic source stones in Jian Wushuang's hands. Director Barmer, I still have a list of treasures here. And see if you can get all the treasures on this list in a short time. Jian Wushuang handed out a list of treasures. Vaimo took it with a smile and glanced away, but the smile on his face instantly solidified. Blood sword boy. Barmer's voice was obviously a little bit wrong. Why, isn't there such treasure in Jyoti Pavilion? Jian Wushuang looked over. That's not it. Barmer shook his head. As long as it is a treasure in the universe, I can basically get it at Jyoti Pavilion. But it only takes a matter of time. And you who are on the list treasures, even the Jyoti Pavilion branch I am in charge of, can make up 70% to 80%. But there are still a few treasures. But they need to be called in other territories. But I can guarantee that within 1,000 years, you can put all these treasures together and send them to your friend. Within 1,000 years. Jian Wushuang frowned slightly. Does the blood sword friend think it's too long? Barmer looked over. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. For thousands of years, he did feel a little longer. But Barmer smiled weirdly. Bloodsword little friend. In fact, you don't need to worry about it at this time. After all, there is a cosmic channel. It is not impossible to speed up. But what you really care about is the value of these treasures, that's right. Sword Wushuang's expression moved. And he heard from Barmer that the treasures on this list were of extraordinary value. In this regard, Jian Wushuang is not surprised. The list of treasures he brought out was exactly the treasure needed to cultivate the fourth most important thing, of the Supreme Immortal. The Supreme Immortal Mystic Body, which comes from Ling Yunxing's inner star mysticism, has a very high level. He has been refined into the top 3 at the main level of the rule. Starting from the 4th level, the Supreme Immortal Mysticism requires the dominating realm to practice. Jian Wushuang now naturally has reached the threshold for cultivation, but his own cultivation conditions are sufficient. He can cultivate the auxiliary treasures he needs. No, I can only pin my hopes on Judy Pavilion. However, we need to know that he needed many treasures, just for the purpose of refining the third, including a golden source fruit. The value of Jinyuan God fruit is very high. If it is auctioned well in the world, it can even sell nearly 100 universe source stones. Many of the treasures needed to practice the fourth aspect of the Supreme Immortal Mystery are at the same level as the Jinyuan God fruit, and even more valuable than the Jinyuan God fruit. There are dozens of them. Naturally, it is not easy to get together the treasures on this list. Director Barmer, let's be honest, how many cosmic source stones are needed to get together the many treasures on this list? Jian Wushuang asked, and he was mentally prepared. Bloodsword friend, you are on the list of 9 emperors, but I am a guest of the 9 emperors' pavilion, and I will not hide you. If all the treasures on this list are in order, at least 8,000 cosmic sources are required. Sure, this is because of your own identity and unlimited time. If you change someone else, and need to send it in as soon as possible, the standby time required will be even greater. Barmer said, 8,000 source stones? Even though Jian Wushuang was already mentally prepared to hear this number, he was still shocked. 8,000 source rocks of the universe? Moyen couldn't help but sighed. Generally the 5th series dominates. All the net worth is also hundreds of source rocks of the universe, and some peaks in the 5th series exist. It is estimated that there are only 2,000 or 3,000 cosmic source stones, and 8,000 cosmic source stones are already comparable to the ultimate net worth of one ultimate master. Like me, all the net worth in the peak period is estimated to be about 10,000 source rocks of the universe. I thought I beheaded Jiusu and got his Changyan ring. In addition to my previous collections, the net worth was relatively rich, but I didn't expect it to be far behind. Jian Wushuang shook his head with a bitter smile. Bloodsword friend, you are a friend of my 9 emperors' pavilion, and you are listed in the 9 emperors list. So you have certain privileges in the 9 emperors' pavilion. You can apply for these treasures first, and then pay back these cosmic source stones later. However, after all, there are more than 8,000 cosmic source stones, and the number is a bit larger. It requires the consent of some high-level officials in my 9 emperors' court. I can help you with the blood sword, but it will take some time before there will be a reply. Barmer said. No need. Jian Wushuang waved his hand. He was not so eager to get these treasures. And he also understood that although he was on the list of 9 emperors, it was not easy to borrow treasures worth more than 8,000 from Judy Pavilion at one time. Well, Director Barmer, I still have some special things in my hands. I don't know the specific value of these things. I wonder if you can identify them for me. Jian Wushuang said. Of course, no problem. Barmer was very enthusiastic and patient. I only got these things a while ago. Jian Wushuang said as he waved his hands, and took out each jade bottle. There are a total of 12 jade bottles, each of which is very special in material, and even has the effect of shielding the exploration of the power of the soul. If you do open the stopper, I do know what is in the jade bottle. Barmer looked at the jade bottles in front of him, and there was a hint of curiosity in his heart. Immediately he opened one of them, and the power of the soul penetrated. This is... Barmer stared suddenly. I saw that there was only a drop of scarlet liquid in the jade bottle. Like those 9 beards, UCANT used these venoms completely. The red poisonous mist that had previously calculated the sword unparalleled. It took him a long time to dilute it from a drop of scarlet venom, and it only occupied a whole drop. 1% of the venom. But despite this red poisonous mist still caused great trouble to Jian Wushuang. I can imagine how terrible a drop of venom is. And the most important thing is that this venom can only be stored with special materials, but it can't exist in the void for too long. Even if you want to wipe the venom on the blade of a soldier to kill the enemy, the level of venom is too high. As soon as the treasure soldiers touched the venom, the soldiers were directly corroded and collapsed, and there was no chance to shoot. Even if the rule is precious, the general rule of inferiority is precious. If you apply a drop of this venom, this rule of inferiority may be greatly damaged, and it may even collapse over time. Because of this, Jiusu couldn't apply a complete drop of venom on his spear to attack. The spear in Jis's hand is just the top quality rule, but my Wu Crying Excalibur is the top quality rule. If you apply a complete drop of venom on the Wu Crying Excalibur, Wu Crying Excalibur should support it. Live. Jian Wushuang could not help thinking, this is a venom refined by a poison master at the ultimate master level. 1 drop of this venom can kill the ultimate master. If it can be wiped on the blade and used for attack, as long as the blade touches the venom of the opponent's body immediately infiltrates, it is considered to be the ultimate master, and I am afraid it will be difficult to survive. In other words, luck, he relied on this venom to have the chance to kill the ultimate master. Of course, he just thought about it, but didn't plan to do it like that. After all, he didn't have much confidence that Wu Wei's Excalibur could withstand a full drop of venom. If he couldn't bear it, causing Wu Wei Excalibur to be damaged, then he would lose money. Unless he encounters a real crisis, there is no way he can make such a choice. Bloodsword friend, your venom is indeed very precious. If you want to sell it, my Judy Pavilion can be collected by a drop of 1,000 universe source stones. Barmer said, a drop of 1,000 universe source stones? Jian Wushuang was startled. So precious. Lung Rushuang and Demon Flame were also startled. 1,000 cosmic source stones, a drop of venom. He has now taken out a full 12 jade bottles. A total of 12 drops of venom. That is to say, if he sold all of these venoms, it is 12,000 source rocks of the universe. Before, he was worried about the value of the treasure needed to practice the 4th weight of the supreme immortal mystery. But in the blink of an eye he knew that he still had such a large fortune in his hands. Chapter 4029. Second more. Bloodsword friend, these venoms. Barmer looked at Jian Wushuang, and he hoped that Jian Wushuang would sell them to him. After all, this high-level venom has always been very scarce in the universe. His Jodian Pavilion has a strong presence throughout the universe. Higher levels of venom are everywhere, but they are all deep in the universe, or some big ones. Territory. In this purple star field, this is the highest level of venom that Barmer has come into contact with. No. Jian Wushuang waved his hand. I just asked you to help me identify the value of these venoms, but I didn't want to sell them to you. Hearing that, Barmer shrugged and felt helpless. By the way, Director Barmer, I don't know if there is any way I can refine these venoms? Jian Wushuang asked suddenly. Refining? Barmer stunned. Bloodsword boy, do you want to thoroughly refine these venoms? Of course. Jian Wushuang nodded with a smile. If there is no refining, then all he can do is to force the drop of venom on Wu weapon sword to risk the corrosion and damage of Wu weapon sword under the premise of forced action, and then find a chance to kill enemy. Or like Jiusu, spend years on the school field, slowly dilute these venoms, and break down some lower-level poisonous mist or poisonous gas to kill the enemy. But there are many shortcomings between these 2 ways of use. Like the first type, if in the fierce battle, Where can the opponent give him the opportunity to put the venom on the Excalibur? He will really find the opportunity, which is also carried out under the opponent's eyelids. The opponent knows that you are on the Excalibur, it is naturally vigilant to apply poison. But if you want to succeed, it will not be so easy. As for the second type, it takes not only a lot of time, but the final products, such as those of the red mist of Jiusu, are also powerful. But the effect is far less amazing than a complete venom. Naturally, Jian Wushuang wanted to completely refine these venoms. Only after fully refining and mastering these venoms, he can use these venoms as he likes, and he can even directly integrate the venoms into the Wu Weeping Sword, without damaging the Wu Weeping Sword. In normal times, he urges the Wu Weeping Sword it's nothing different from normal times. And as long as he thinks about it, the venom in Wu Wei's Excalibur will fully exert his power, which is the most correct way to use it. Just like Jian Wushuang's strength is still very weak, in the face of an undead sage who has an immortal body, he put some venom into his own soldiers, relying on the venom to corrode the other god's body and divine power, and instantly killed the enemy. Bloodsword friends, the venom in these jade bottles contains an incredible power of corrosion. Any drop is enough to easily kill the 5th-ranked dominating master. Even the ultimate master will have a huge threat. If you are not careful, the ultimate dominator will fall. However, because this venom is too terrible, it becomes extremely difficult to refine it. Normally, a 5th-ranked master who is the most extreme, if he ventures to try, he has a certain degree of success. Chances are practitioners below the 5th level extreme will forcibly refine these venoms, and the result will be undoubtedly fatal. Barmer solemnly said, "So sure is it really impossible?" Jian Wushuang frowned. "Bloodsword little friend, do you know that this venom can not only cause a huge corrosive effect on the body of the practitioner, but can even directly corrode and annihilate the soul of the practitioner? But to make this venom completely soul, not only it takes a lot of divine power, but it is constantly nourishing. The most important thing is that your soul is tough enough to withstand the venom, so that it can be refined. However, even if it is the most extreme master of the 5th series, once his soul comes into contact with this venom, he will immediately suffer from the venom of this venom. If he is lucky, he will only be damaged by the soul. Clean, only a small chance can succeed. But Bloodsword, you, if I read correctly, it's just the 2nd level now. A soul dominated by the 2nd level. There is no possibility to refine these venoms." Barmer glared at Jian Wushuang. He didn't mean to despise Jian Wushuang, but what he said was fact. Under normal circumstances, to refining this level of venom, the most important thing is to need a very powerful soul that can withstand the corrosion of that venom. But the soul of the sword unparalleled, Bama is certainly not up to the requirements. However, after listening to Barmer's words, the sword was dull without 2 sides, but it was an ecstasy in my heart. Soul? It's the soul that you need to purify these poisons. The last thing I fear is soul. Jian Wushuang trembled physically and mentally. You know, he is a perfect practitioner of life. He is already invincible in his soul. The damage to the soul, for him, can only be made up by a slight loss of some divine power. Even if the soul is completely annihilated, it is difficult to affect him. That is to say, he can recklessly try to refine these venoms. Just like his master Xian, he could countless times try to regain the princely spirit world. For other practitioners, relying on the soul to try to refining this venom, once it fails is death. But even if he fails, only a small part of the divine power is lost. He can continue to try again and again, until the last success. Supervisor Barmer, thank you for telling me this. Jian Wushuang smiled. Please also prepare the things I asked for before. No problem, little bloodsword friend. You can wait for a while in my 9 Emperor's pavilion. Immediately I will send those spar and 2 rules of treasure to you. Barmer smiled, and went on quickly prepared for sword unparalleled. In just half an hour Bammer sent all those things over. Magic flame. All these spar are for you. You take the time to restore the body. Jian Wushuangdo. Yes. Demon Flame's eyes lighted. Shuang Air. This rule is a treasure whip. It is stronger than usual. The treasure is much stronger. You just got it. I'm afraid I'm not used to it. Later we will find a place to get used to it. Go to the poisonous demon lord. Sword Wuxuangdo. Nodded coldly. Supervisor Barmer. I also need detailed information of a person. Her name is Lung Rushua, and it belongs to the poisonous monster. Jian Wushuang said again. Cold as snow. The witch of 10,000 poisonous demon? Barmer frowned, but his eyes could not help but look at the cold frost, quite strange. Chapter 40-30. The first is more. Witch. Swordless eyes narrowed. Bloodsword boy, is this wife by your side? Barmer asked. Yes. Jian Wushuang nodded. You didn't mention the witch. I haven't noticed yet. Your wife and the witch are very imaginary. Not only is the appearance of the imaginary, even the temperament is very similar. Barmer said. Hearing this, Jian Wushuang couldn't help laughing. It is certain that Lung Rushuang is similar to that witch. After all, Lung Rushuang and Lung Rushua are two souls derived from one body. They had previously occupied a body, but then with the cold reincarnation, the soul broke away from that body. But now the body reshaped by the cold frost is also shaped as before. And of course the looks are similar. So cold as snow can now be in the poisonous demon sect? Jian Wushuang asked. No. Barmer shook his head. As far as I know, the cold snow left 100 poison sects hundreds of years ago, and even left the thunder hidden domain to go to a special secret territory. I haven't been back, but it's no accident. In a few years, the cold snow should return to the poisonous demon sect. A few more years? Why? Jian Wushuang asked. Because in a few years, there will be a feast in Lei Hengxing's domain, and this cold snow is definitely going to participate. Barmer said. I see, thank you. Jian Wushuang thanked him. And Sun Yi left Jyoti Pavilion together with Lung Rushuang and Demon Flame, and left for Leiheng Star Field. At the foot of Lei Hengxing, at the foot of the door of Wanzhong Zhongzong, in a pub, 3 swordsmen Jian Shuang sat together, eating and drinking at will. The space of the second-level astral space is much more stable than that of the third-level astral space. The masters of us from the astral space have not been subject to any restrictions in this Thunder Star domain. Jian Wushuang smiling lightly. He was also worried that after all, he was an external master, and would not be bound by the heavenly will of Lei Hengxing after entering Lei Hengxing. Just like the early divine realm. In the early days, the realm of the gods could not afford to dominate the combat power. So even in the early world of the gods, even the local masters could not exert their full strength. Only the master of the rules could fight unbridled and explode all their strength. Obviously, the Thunder Star field does not have much restriction on the practitioners who dominate the level. At least Jian Wushuang is standing here now, and did not feel the restraint of the will of heaven. His strength can be fully exerted to reach the peak. This would not have been possible at the beginning of the divine realm. Master, in the vast universe, the astral world is divided into different levels. Not only because the quality of the strong men born in different astral worlds will be different, but also represents the degree of spatial stability and affordability of this astral world. Power of the strong. Mo Yin opened his mouth to speak. Under normal circumstances, the ordinary tertiary astral plane can't afford the dominating level of combat power. So in the tertiary astral plane, the master can't exert all its power at all. Of course, you can burst out of the master combat power. That's because you are only the ruler of the rule. In the beginning, there was no restriction on you by the divine realm. But after you break through and become the ruler, you will be restricted. The second-order astral space is naturally more stable than the third-order astral space. Within the second-order astral space, it can withstand the dominance of the level, and it is not only a general domination, even the fourth level. The power of the fifth level, and even the ultimate level, can be sustained by the second level. That is to say, in the second-level astral world, as long as it is the master, it can arbitrarily burst out the strongest strength. As for the first-level astral plane at a higher level, it can even let the supreme strong fight wildly. Is that so? Jian Wushuang knew his heart, and a smile appeared on his face. This is just right. I was worried that if I could not exert my strongest power in this Thunderstar domain, I was afraid that I would not be able to scare that 10,000 people. Poison sect, but now there is no such worry. Thousands of poisonous demon lords, the strongest suzerain, is just a 4th level extreme powerhouse, and has not yet reached the 5th level. Master of this level, Jian Wushuang is not in his eyes. Stronger than Jiusu, that combat power is enough to rival the 5th level master, but it is not dead in his hands. Master, isn't that cold like snow still not returning to the poisonous demon sect now? What are we doing here so early? Moyan asked. There is nothing to do anyway, just wait here. Jian Wushuang smiled. On the bright side, he was eating and drinking with cold as frost and magic flame. But in fact, Jian Wushuang has been trying to refine those venoms secretly. Especially on the way to Lei Hengxing. He has been trying. His soul has even been annihilated hundreds of times because of this. But Jian Wushuang is still trying. Although every attempt has failed, in this time and again, his soul's ability to withstand that venom is also constantly improving. He believes that this will continue to be tried. One day, he can truly refine these venoms. In the tavern, those who sat eating and drinking were not only 3 swordsmen, but also some other practitioners. And because after all this is at the foot of the ancestral sect, the practitioners who come here are mostly overbearing. Even the masters have a lot. Haha, Brother Morton, are you here too? Hearty laughter sounded. A middle-aged man in Singi stood up in the tavern, and he was greeted by a man in a black robe, whose entire face was covered by a layer of black cloud and mist, and looked extremely mysterious. After all, it is a grand event only once in thousands of years, and this grand event heard that even Master Xing will pay attention to it. Anyway, where I live is not far from these 10,000 poisonous monsters. Come over and look at it naturally. The man under the black robe made a hoarse voice. Hey, I heard that this event is getting so much attention, because there is a very amazing genius in the venerable demon sect. It is said that she is a rare poisonous body in the universe, and then cultivated into Wanduo, the most powerful magic spell in Wanzhong. Although now only dominated by the 2nd rank, its combat power is even stronger than that of many 3rd ranks. The most important thing is that she has been practicing for hundreds of thousands of years. The potential is really limitless. The middle-aged man in Singi praised. Well, it's very powerful. It's no accident. At this event, the geniuses of all parties, including the other 2 top powers, will become the foil. Protagonist, said the man in a black robe. Chapter 40-31. Second more. The young man's middle-aged conversation with the man in the black robe did not cover up deliberately, and everyone in the tavern heard it clearly. After hearing the conversation between them, most of the guests in the tavern agreed. Most of these guests came for the grand event that Wanda Dizong is about to start. Naturally, they also know the great name of Wanda Dizong. Not only the men in black robes, but even they also think that this is a feast. In the corner of the tavern, Jian Wushuang, when he heard the conversation between them, looked very strange. A peerless genius? Jian Wushuang smiled faintly. It seems that the cold as snow has improved a lot. But it is also true after all, it is a poisonous body. Cold as frost was indifferent. When she heard the name of cold as snow, her look did not change at all. Schwanger, you have made great progress over the years, and now you have reached the top of the 2nd level. If you take a shot and fight one-on-one against that cold snow, can you be sure? Jian Wushuang asked. I don't know. Lung Rushuang shook his head, but followed straightly. But I won't lose. I won't lose, that's the win? Jian Wushuang smiled. Relax, wait for the poisonous demon sect. I will let the cold snow fight you. The grievance between the 2 of you, it's up to you to do it yourself this time. As for the people of the poison sect, I will not let them in. Not only are the people of 10,000 poison demon sect, I hope you cannot interfere with your husband. Lung Rushuang said suddenly. Huh? Jian Wushuang stunned. Lung Rushuang solemnly said, I and her, who are sisters in one, now have their own paths. I came to her this time, but it completely broke my previous relationship with her. And this time, and I will solve it on my own. And I will have a truly fair fight with her. Yes, but if your life is threatened, I will shoot. Jian Wushuang said directly. Cold as Frost nodded slightly. Just then. Oh. Not far from the void, several figures rushed at the same time and blinked at the door of the tavern. In front of it is within the poison demon sect. We first go to this tavern to rest for a while, and then go to the poison demon sect no later. One of the old men led by Tong Yin said. Behind the old man Yin Yen, followed by several young men and women, their breath exudes differently. It's the people of Bing Huangdo, headed by the two elders of Bing Huangdo. As for him, the talented disciples who participated in this event at Bing Huangdo should be behind him. Well, Bing Huang Island, it's better to be second only to the top 3 forces in this Thunderbolt domain. This year's talented disciples are said to be very good. It's very good, seeing that the Golden Robe Man didn't. He was the first genius of Fenghuang Island, Qin Feng, and he was also repaired at the 2nd level. Downwind. There was a whispering sound in the tavern, and many guests looked at the newly arrived dozens of people. And most of them stayed on the man in the golden robe. Everyone at Binghuang Island took a seat in the tavern and just sat down. Brother Qin, look at that. A voice sounded. The eyes of the man in the gold robe Qin Feng immediately looked at him. And what he looked at was exactly where Jian Wushuang was. Huh. Qin Feng's eyes were frozen on the frosty body instantly. Call. Qin Feng stood up, and his eyes became extremely sharp. Which I didn't expect to meet you here in advance. Qin Feng's voice also became low. Which, isn't this which Qin Feng talking about is the peerless genius of Wanda Mazong? The whole pub instantly became turbulent, and all eyes looked at Qin Feng, looking at them as cold as frost. Cold as frost's willow charm clustered slightly. Jian Wushuang frowned. You recognize the wrong person. Lung Rushuang said. Recognize the wrong person? Joke, I've met you anyway. You look like you and the spirit of your body. I have long remembered, I will admit it. Qin Feng chuckled, and he has slowly moved to this side. Come over. Jian Wushuang touched his nose, and his heart was quite helpless. Cold as frost and cold as snow are two souls evolved from the body. The two of them are not only the same, but also the breath of the soul. Because of the perennial companionship, they are more than 90% similar. If they are not particularly familiar people, even relying on the breath of the soul, may also admit their mistakes. As it is now, this Qin Feng apparently regarded cold as frost as cold as snow. Hey, stand still. Jian Wushuang yelled, and said lowly. Boy, are you called Qin Feng, right? If you admit wrong, you admit the wrong person. The one next to me is my wife, but not what you said. A witch from the poisonous demon sect. Your wife? Qin Feng froze. As far as he knows, the witch of Wanda Dizong's eyes is scary, although there are many people who are infatuated with her. So far this witch has never looked at anyone, and it is impossible to become another's wife. But the woman in front, no matter the look or the spirit, looks like the witch? It's impossible. Even if the appearance can be changed, the breath of the soul can't be changed. You even have the same breath as the witch. How could it not be that witch? Qin Feng drank, apparently distrusting what Jian Wushuang said. Whether you believe it or not, I'm too lazy to talk to you nonsense, Shuang, let's go. Jian Wushuang obviously was too lazy to talk to this Qin Feng nonsense, stood up, and was about to leave. Slow, Qin Feng whispered, and his shape blocked the way of Jian Wushuang. He stared hotly and stared at the cold frost. Which, I was humiliated by you 10,000 years ago. This 10,000 years here. I'm mad at it, just to fight you. And now I'm having a hard time. Would I let you leave like this? It's really noisy. Jian Wushuang was obviously a little angry too. He didn't want to have general knowledge with Qin Feng, but he didn't expect the other party to be over. Call. Sword unparalleled shot. He didn't take out the Excalibur. Just one stroke with one hand instantly, under the watchful eyes of many practitioners in this tavern. A horrific sword exploded suddenly. The strong sense of the sword made everyone in the tavern, including those masters, and the second elder from Ice Queen Island tremble. Not good. The second elder was startled and wanted to rescue. but found that his speed was too late. I saw the endless sword cover over Qin Feng. This Qin Feng is known as the first genius of Bing Huangdo, but before the sword has no double sides, it is no different from the ants. I saw that under the cover of Jingguang, this Qin Feng body collapsed instantly. Of course, Jian Wushuang did not directly kill the killer, but gave a breath to this Qin Feng. But it was also very miserable. 3 heads M. Chapter 40-32. The first is more. How is it possible? Qin Feng's body has been restored, and his breath is extremely weak, but he is still staring at Jian Wushuang. His eyes are full of incredible. It was just a random stroke with one hand that defeated him in an instant. Even if the opponent did not keep his hand, he was dead at that moment. The man in front of him is so strong, but the breath on the other side is obviously only the second level dominating the level. I just gave you a warning. If you try to block our way again, I will kill you directly. Jian Wushuang said coldly. Qin Feng could not help but tremble. Sir. The second elder of Binghuang Island hurried up and said, Thank you for your mercy. This is indeed Qin Feng's recklessness. I will take him to pay you for your crime. The 2 elders are very clear that the universe is sinister. Like Qin Feng just did this, even if the other party directly kills him, there is no problem. Let's go. Jian Wushuang snorted coldly, leaving his tavern with his wife and Moyen. And that Qin Feng is now honest, dare not dare to go again. After the 3 swordsmen left the pub exploded immediately. Good guy, it's just a one-handed stroke. Qin Feng, the first day of Bing Huangdo, was defeated? It's more than defeat. He would have been dead if the other side hadn't kept his hand. Just now, that person is so strong, but why do I look at the breath emanating from him? It seems that it is only the second level that dominates the level. It is the master of the second grade, but I don't know if he has deliberately concealed his breath, or if he only has this realm. If he is really only a master of the second grade, then it is great. That which cannot defeat Qin Feng so easily. Talks rang out in the tavern. Qin Feng's face has become a pig's liver color, and the people of Binghuang Island did not have that face to continue to stay in the tavern, but immediately set off for Wandadizong. After leaving the tavern, the 3 swordsmen did not immediately go to Wandadizong. After all, the event in Wandadizong will not be held for a while, and it seems that the snow is still cold. Simply Sword Wushuang is located in the city near Wanzhongdizong, looking for an inn to temporarily reside. The next time, Jian Wushuang 3 stayed in the inn, while Jian Wushuang focused all their energy on the refinement of those venoms. I saw the soul of the sword Wushuang knowing the sea shaking for a while, then immediately annihilated. A moment later, the annihilated soul was restored again. Failed again. Jian Wushuang shrugged his shoulders without any surprise. After learning that those venoms can rely on the soul to refine, he has tried not to know how many times, failed every time. His soul has been annihilated countless times, but he was not in a hurry. But once keep trying. This shake 5 years later. Haha, it finally succeeded. In a room of the inn, the laughter of Jian Wushuang sounded. Of course, there were restraints in the room. His laughter was not passed on. At the moment, Jian Wushuang was sitting alone on the couch with a surprised smile on his face, and in front of him was a drop of scarlet venom. This scarlet venom has been suspended there. Before, Jian Wushuang did not dare to touch it with his hands, but let alone touch it with his hands now. Even if he directly swallowed this drop of venom, he would not be affected by the venom. Erosion. After all, this drop of venom has been completely controlled by him. It took so long. My soul annihilated more than tens of thousands of times after repeated attempts. Until now, I have successfully refined this drop. Alas, it is really difficult. Jian Wushuang could not help but sigh. Fortunately, he is the perfect life. His soul is annihilated, and he can rely on divine power to repair it instantly. If you change to another person, even if it is the most extreme master of the 5th series, it is estimated that the venom will be dead for a lifetime, and the 5th series is more general, or the 4th series. If you try to refine to dissolve this venom, it is simply to die, and refining this drop of venom This also has a great effect on Jian Wushuang. When I saw Jian Wushuang waving his hand, Wu Wei's Excalibur appeared in his hands, and immediately under his guidance, this drop of scarlet venom slowly swept away towards Wu Weapon's Excalibur and merged directly into Wu Weapon's Excalibur. Inside, the venom disappeared after entering the Wu Weapon sword. But Jian Wushuang was the owner of the Wu Weapon sword, and he refined the drop of venom and could clearly sense the presence of that drop of venom. The venom is within the Wu Crying Excalibur, but without his guidance, it will not exert its power. But as soon as he thinks, this venom will immediately trigger with the Wu Crying Excalibur. While attacking the enemy, this venom will directly enter the opponent's body along the Excalibur, causing unprecedented damage to the opponent. From now on, I will have one more card in my hand. Jian Wushuang smiled. He has practiced so far with a lot of cards, and many of them are very good, such as the Dragon Extermination Mysticism, the Talented Supernatural Primitive Universe, the combination of the 3 Town monuments formed by the Demon Town Sky Law Array. These are all his whole cards, but also extremely powerful. However, if measured by the terrible degree, the card he now has is undoubtedly the most terrifying, because the venom he refined, even if he was the master of the ultimate level, accidentally he could die. The master below the ultimate level can withstand a drop of venom directly, and it is almost impossible to survive. After refining a drop of venom, Jian Wushuang was not in a hurry to refining the second drop. After all, only 3 months remained until the grand event of Wandadizong was held. This month, Jian Wushuang and his wife walked around in the Lei Hengxing realm. 3 months later, they set off together and went to Wanda Demon Sect. At this moment, the poisonous demon lord, because of the convening of that event, has become particularly lively. This feast is actually just a feast of geniuses that has been held for tens of thousands of years. Each time the Feast of Geniuses, some of the top geniuses in Lei Hengxing's world will take the contest. The strongest genius is selected at the end. There is a chance to be personally instructed by the Lord of the Lei Hengxing realm. And of course, there will be some other rewards. This genius feast, because it is held every 10 million years, is already commonplace in the Leiheng astral realm. But this time it will be special. It will be so eye-catching. After all, it is because of the poisonous demon lord, the peerless genius that appeared inside. 3 Heads M. Chapter 40-33. Second More. On the day of the feast, the gates of the 10,000 poisonous demon ancestors opened, and numerous practitioners flocked to the scene. Most of these practitioners see a lot of fun, but as long as they come, all the poisonous demon lords will be welcome to receive them without any worries that someone will come to trouble. After all, this feast was not only held in the poisonous demon sect, but mainly due to the genius feast of Lei Hengxing once every 10,000 years, but the Lord personally ordered it to be held. Anyone who dares to make trouble on the way to the feast is disrespectful to the Lord. But we must know that the Lord of the Lei Stellar Realm is dominated by the 5th series, which is an absolute word in the Lei Stellar Realm. Jioding, no one dares to violate. The huge and unenforceable martial arts arena can accommodate millions of people at the same time, and at the very center of the martial arts arena, there is a huge void, which is used as a battlefield. Many geniuses participating in the Genius Feast will go to the battlefield to compete, and finally decide the strongest. At this moment, tens of thousands of people have gathered in this martial arts field. You know, these tens of thousands of people are not ordinary people. The weakest of them are the rulers, and there are many strong ones who dominate the level. This is the gap between the secondary astral level in a medium-sized star field and the secondary astral field in a barren zone on the edge of the universe. Like Demon Star, the strongest Demon Star is also able to break through to reach the 4th level of domination, and Demon Star's majesty can only dominate hundreds of people. However, the strongest in the Lei Stellar Realm is a 5th-ranked dominator, and His Majesty's 4th-ranked dominion has many. In general, there are at least thousands of thunder stars in the Lei Stellar Realm. There are quite a few people who come to this feast. In one of the corners, Jian Wushuangwan stood there holding his hands, and the coldness around him was dangling with a veil, and the breath on his body also converged. No way. After the incident at the previous restaurant, Lung Rushuang realized that he was too much like Lung Xuexue. Without disguise, it would be easy for people to admit mistakes and cause unnecessary trouble. Therefore, before coming to the feast this time, the cold frosted bucket deliberately stayed covered his appearance. The magic flame, still standing respectfully behind Jian Wushuang. Soon this feast of genius was held. Although this genius feast says that the geniuses of all forces in Lei Hengxing can participate, in fact, the geniuses of the three top powers can really emerge in this genius feast. And there is no doubt that the witch from the poisonous demon lord is the most dazzling. Cold as snow, Jian Wushuang stood there with cold eyes, staring at a beautiful woman who was fighting in front of the battlefield. The beautiful woman is similar to Lung Rushuang in 8 or 9 points, not only in appearance, but even in temperament and soul. This beautiful woman naturally is as cold as snow. After a lapse of many years, Jian Wushuang once again saw cold as snow. The latter is already the first genius of Wanzhong Dizong, and even the most dazzling existence of the young generation in the entire Lei Hengxing world. At this genius feast, she showed its really dazzling. I saw she was holding a cyan spear, and the spear stabbed at will, easily defeating every top genius from all sides. Even the talented disciples from the other 2 top powers possessed the 3rd level dominating combat power. But in this cold snow, they could not support it for a long time, and were easily defeated by her. And those who watched the battle all around can see that, from beginning to end, this cold snow has not come up with its full strength. Yes, for more than 200,000 years, this cold snow has made great progress. She has a very high perception of the origin of the gunshot universe, and she has even been dominated by the 4th level master. She is obviously more dominant than the normal 2nd level player. She has a lot of divine power, and she can sweep all the geniuses at this genius feast, but her strongest venomous body has not been exerted at all. And before I also heard that she has become the first mystery of Wanda Dizong, Wandejing, and she can't see it. Jian Wu's eyes narrowed slightly, and beside Jian Wushuang, although Lung Rushuang's face was hidden under the bucket, her gaze had been staring at the cold snow in the middle of the battlefield, and her look was quite calm. Time passes slowly. This genius feast lasted for 3 days and 3 nights on campus. It was only on the 4th day that the feast began to come to an end. Now the genius feast has only one final battle. One of the 2 sides of this battle is as cold as snow, and the other is the first genius from a top power. The genius is more powerful than the 3rd-ranked dominator, but it is clear that he is still a lot worse than cold as snow. At the beginning of the war, the genius' purpose from the beginning was not to defeat the coldness of snow, but to force the coldness of snow to use his special constitution, or to use the 10,000 poisonous classics, but unfortunately in the end did not succeed. That cold snow showed her terrible marksmanship in this battle, which is far better than those 3rd-level masters, who are good at gunfire, and finally easily defeated that genius. Since then this genius feast is truly over. Haha, it is worthy to be called the first super genius in the history of Wanpa Demon sect. This strength is indeed quite good. Unfortunately, I came here this time, and wanted to take a good look at her toxic body, but I did not expect that she did not use her constitution at all. Obviously dominated by the 2nd grade, but in terms of combat power, I am afraid that it is already comparable to the dominance of the 3rd grade. If it is to trigger the physique to perform the Wandejing, then the one who can defeat her in the 3rd grade dominates. Not a few. The talent of this, which is definitely the first person in our Thunderstar world for hundreds of millions of years. Even in the entire purple microstar domain, it is estimated that it can be ranked in the top 3. After the final competition, those powerful men from the sectarian forces who stood in the top void began to talk about it, and naturally included the 3 top forces. In the performance martial arts field, the tens of thousands of practitioners who watched the battle were also discussing. Most of them marveled at how terrible the cold snow was, and how good it was. In the corner of Yinwu Stadium, Jian Wushuang glanced at him as cold as frost. The showdown of this genius feast is over. Next, Schwanger, it's your turn. Well, I'm ready. Cold as frost softly. I'll open the way for you. Jian Wushuang smiled slightly, and his body moved immediately. Emperor Jiutian. Chapter 40-34. 3 more arrived today. On that vast battlefield, because the last genius has been defeated, Lung Wuxia is preparing to leave the battlefield under the attention of everyone. But then, oh! A figure, like a teleportation, appeared directly in the middle of the battlefield. And as soon as the figure appeared, there was an overbearing breath that locked her. The cold, snow-like pace immediately gave her a meal, and at the same time she looked up in surprise, because the other person's breath gave her a very familiar feeling. As the other person's figure was revealed, a familiar face appeared in front of her, making her cold and snowy. Many practitioners on the Yinwu field also noticed the changes in the battlefield and saw the emergence of the sword unparalleled. Suddenly, one by one appeared suspicious. Sir, is it all right? An elder of Wanda Demon, who supported this grand battle, also immediately appeared in the middle of the battlefield, standing in front of Lung Wuxia, staring vigilantly at the sword. Although Jian Wushuang is only a second-level master, the elder of the poisonous demon lord feels an extremely dangerous breath from Jian Wushuang. Jian Wushuang did not look at the elder, but stared at the cold snow behind him with interest. Why? Isn't your old friend here going to say hello? Jian Wushuang said with a smile. Old friend. The elder of Wanduzong showed doubt. Is you? Lung Wuxia stared at Jian Wushuang, but his eyes became extremely sharp. I didn't expect that you could come here. Cold as snow is indeed quite surprised. But she knew very well how far away this star field was from the beginning of the world. At that time, her master, Lord Luo, took a lot of effort to send her here. And even the poisonous demon lord sent a 4th-level master to greet her personally, and even took the cost to ride some universes. But even so, it still took her 30,000 years to get here. But Jian Wushuang in front of her. Not long ago, although she received a rumor from her master Xing Luo, she knew that the gods in the early days had changed, and that Jian Wushuang had become the master of the early days. But it was only tens of thousands of years. Just the past. Even her master Xing Luo, the master, has not yet returned to Lei Heng's astral realm. But this sword Wushuang even rushed over from the early divine realm. I'm not alone here this time. Jian Wushuang smiled. Behind him, a beautiful figure slowly walked over, but only came to the side of Jian Wushuang just a moment later. Although this beautiful figure was fighting, she still couldn't hide her breathtaking figure. And the moment she saw the beautiful figure coldly, her figure couldn't help it. Is that you? Cold Wuxia said softly. Sister, I haven't seen you in a long time. The indifferent voice came out from under the veil, and cold hands like frost jade stretched out, took off the bucket, revealing a peerless face, and her breath no longer covered up, and spread directly. Come. At the moment when the cold face showed his face and breath, countless practitioners in the entire performance martial art field burst into an instant. Who is this? It seems that she and the witch are too similar. Are they sisters? No, I'm afraid it's not that simple. After all, even if they are sisters, they only imagine their looks, but she and her soul are almost the same. There must be other factors. A burst of exclamation sounded from all corners of Yinwu Stadium. Around the battlefield, from where the talented disciples of Binghuang Island gathered, Qin Feng's eyes were rounded, staring at Jian Wushuang in cold as frost. It's really 2 people. I was in the tavern before. Did I admit it wrong? Qin Feng is still a little hard to believe. And in the void above, those top powers from all sides also showed weird colors. Only those high-level powerhouses of Wanda Dizong are at the moment ugly. What happened? Among these high-level powerful men of the Wan Poison sect, the elder who has the highest strength and status is the elder who asked at this moment. As for the sovereign of the Poison sect, he never appeared in this feast. Elder, you forgot. When Xinghua found this cold as snow, he once said that she was something special. said an elder next to the poisonous demon whispered. As soon as the elder's expression moved, he immediately remembered the origin of cold snow. Maybe others do and know, but these top powerful men of Wanda Demon know that the cold, snowy, poisonous body is derived from the congenital great sin, and at the same time, the cold snow itself is derived from the congenital great sin. The soul that came out, in addition to her, originally had another soul in his deity. She is the soul who shares a body with Wuxia? What is she doing here? The elder frowned. Two people, although I do and know the purpose of your visit. Today is my genius feast once every 10 years in Lay Stellar World. This feast was convened by my Lord Lay Stellar Lord personally, and no one may it affects the genius feast, so I advise the two to leave directly. The elder who supported the meeting said, I didn't want to affect the convening of your genius feast. Otherwise I won't wait until the conference is over and decide the strongest genius comes, and then show up. But your genius feast is actually the strongest genius. Then my wife is exactly the same as your peerless genius, who has been practicing poisonous demon, and both of them are dominated by the second grade. Now my wife wants to fight her head on. A victory or defeat, should there be no problem? Jian Wuxuang smiled. Joke, I do and know what the origin of your wife is. And she did and really participate in this genius feast. From the beginning to the end, how can you play against Wuxia? If anything happens in this astral world, when people come, they want to challenge snow like snow. Wouldn't they be busy? Said the elder Shen Sheng. So, that's a bit regrettable. Jian Wuxuang sighed lightly. The elder of 10,000 poison demon thought that Sword Wuxuang was ready to give in. A smile appeared on the corner of his mouth. But suddenly he saw a terrible sword rising up, not only the elder instantly covering, even directly covering the entire huge battlefield. What do? The many powerful men of Wanda Demon suddenly burst into anger. The elder who stood in front of the sword without double-sidedness, although having the third-level peak combat power, could be swept up by this sword, just like a leaf, was hung directly out of the battlefield, and finally he had to stand still again. Shape. This battle must be fought, and no one can stop it. If you are honest, you are better. But if you are not honest, I don't mind, and have fun with you first. Jian Wuxuang's somewhat cold voice suddenly sounded throughout the performance martial arts field. Chapter 40-35. The first is more. Arrogance. Many of the powerful poison monsters are all angry. In any case, this genius feast was held in their poisonous demon sect, and all the rules of it must be up to them. And like Jian Wuxuang now running directly to fight against Lung Wuxia directly, and cannot help but directly shoot their elders, Wanda Mazong naturally will not agree. I saw at this moment that those powerful men in the high level of Wanda Dizong moved at the same time. However, they haven't had time to shoot yet, and Jian Wuxuang has just cut off with one sword. This sword, he directly cut off towards the positions of those strong men of 10,000 poison sect. Wow! The whole world seems to be completely cut open. A huge sword shadow cuts the space, and appears in front of the many powerful demon sects. And the shadow of this sword is constantly enlarged in the eyes of these powerful men. And the earth-shattering power is pressing unscrupulously at them at this moment. The appearance of the high-level powerful men, including that elder, has changed. They just thought that it was just an ordinary second-level master, who came to make trouble. But with the real shot of Jian Wuxuang, he was shocked by the elders alone. This sword is so powerful that it makes them all feel irresistible. Come on, let's do it together. The elder burst into a sigh, and immediately a huge axe appeared in his hand, and a domineering breath rose from him. As for the other elders, they are not slow. At this moment, they all shot one after another, trying to block the sword of Wuxuang. After all, the poison sect is one of the 3 top forces in Lei Hengxing, and the overall force is very powerful. At the highest level of combat power, in addition to the sovereign, who has reached the most extreme level of the 4th level, there are 3 4th-level masters. At this moment, including the elders, there are 2 4th-level dominate, in addition to more than 10 3rd-level dominate. However, Wanzong Dizong is best at using poison instead of attacking directly. What's more, Even if they are good at frontal attack, they are powerless in the face of Jian Wushuang's extremely powerful sword. Boom! Only a violent roar rang through the whole world, and the whole void was caught in a huge energy storm. This energy storm lasted for a long time, and it finally disappeared. And when the storm of divine power dispersed, many practitioners on the performance martial arts site found that the strong men of the poisonous demon were standing there in a weak mood, and many people still had blood on their lips, including the big one. Elders too. Obviously, although they blocked the sword of Wushuang, they were all not badly injured. However, Jian Wushuang made such an unscrupulous shot, and that terrible power finally alarmed the lord of the Wanda demon sect. I saw an extremely cold atmosphere rising from the depths of the 10,000 poison demons' ground, and then an old figure covering the whole body under the black robe appeared in heaven and earth. The old figure of the black robe stood high, and the strange pair of cold eyes of the black robe was staring at Jian Wushuang. Metropolitan. Many powerful men of 10,000 poison sects were overjoyed to see the appearance of the old figure in the black robe. They have absolute confidence in their suzerain. In the entire Lei Hengxing world, except for the Supreme Lord, no one is their opponent. Even the power of the other two top powers, compared with their sovereign, is slightly higher. Worse. In other words, as long as the Lord does not take action, their suzerain is the strongest, at least they all think so. But what they don't know is that the sword unparalleled standing in front of them is not at all a person from the Leiheng astral realm, but from other astral realms, and even other astral realms. Here, what's going on? There was a deep husky voice under the old figure of the black robe. You are the lord of the poisonous demon lord, right? Jian Wushuang looked coldly at the old figure in the black robe in front of him. I came to you, the poisonous demon lord, just to make my wife face the cold snow. After World War I will leave myself after the war, and it will not have too much influence on your poisonous demon lord. But if you want to stop it, it is naturally not strange to me. Your wife. The sovereign looked down at Lung Rushuang and Lung Rushua below, and frowned slightly. Sovereign, this is the thing. The elder appeared next to the lord of the poisonous demon, and briefly explained the story. After listening, the suspicious master of Wanda demon became gloomy. Your wife is also dominated by the second level, and has a great relationship with Ru Shui. She is going to fight Ru Shui directly. I will not stop the poison sect. Your Excellency is acting so arrogantly. Wouldn't it be too much for me to see the poisonous demon lord? Said the lord of the poisonous demon coldly. I just don't put it in my eyes. What can you do? Jian Wushuang was dismissive. By the time he arrived, he had already obtained complete information about the 10,000 poisonous demon sects, and the entire Lei Hengxing world from the Judy Pavilion. And even the strength of that Lei Hengxing master was clear. Just because he knew it, he dared to act like this, because he knew that no one could stop himself from doing anything in this thunder world. That being the case, naturally he didn't need to be too careful. So arrogant boy, in this case, the suzerain wants to ask you for advice. I don't know what you can do. Dare to be so mad in my lord of poisonous demon lords. The lord of Lord Poisonous Demon already has an amazing maggot. Chi rose slowly. Ask me for advice? Can you take my sword and say it again? Jian Wushuang's voice is cold, but the Wu weapon sword in the hand is cut off again. The same sword casts the Kaitian style created by Jian Wushuang. The sword was unveiled by the sword unparalleled, and many of the powerful poisonous monsters were struggling with serious injuries before they could barely resist it. But we must know that the sword just now, Jian Wushuang only relied on his own understanding of the origin of Kendo universe to perform sword art. But now this sword, while performing the sword, is also carrying an extremely strong force of the cosmic law. The addition of the force of this cosmic law instantly made this already extremely powerful sword, and reached a whole new level. Wow! The astounding sword was chopped down. The sovereign, who was shrouded in a black robe, was already panicked at the moment when he saw the sword of Wu Shou waving this sword. Chapter 40-36. Second more. How could it be so strong? Sovereign's head is stingy at this moment. After all, although he stayed deep in the bottom of the gate of the Lord of Poisonous Demon Ancestors, he could understand the induction when there was a powerful energy fluctuation above him. Like the sword that Wuxia just had, he was able to sense the power. Although that sword has crushed the many powerful monsters of the Poisonous Demon sect, the power of that sword is still only the 4th level extreme level. At this level of swordplay, he is confident that he can resist it. Because of this, he said that he would seek advice from Jian Wuxia. However, he never expected that the sword skills that he could perform on him, without double-sided swords, were so powerful that they were 2 swords at a different level. This sword, even he could not resist. There is no way. The sovereign can only do his best to resist this sword, but the end result is swept directly by the sword shadow, hit the spot, and even the breath weakened a lot. Too strong. This is definitely the 5th level combat power. Sovereign looked at Jian Wuxia in horror. Next to him, those high-level strong men from the 10,000 Poison Demon are also trembling one by one at this moment. They did not expect that their suzerain was still not the enemy of the other sword. I have already said, you are honestly staying by the side, and when my wife and the frosty battle broke up, I will naturally leave, but if any of you are not honest or on the way intervene, then don't blame me. Jian Wu's eyes looked coldly at the numerous poisonous monsters. Many of the powerful poison lords, including the Lord of the Poison Lords, do not speak at this moment. They did not dare to speak, even though they were very unconvinced, but Jian Wuxuang's strength was there, and they could not tolerate their bows. This scene was also seen by countless practitioners in the performance martial arts field, and they couldn't help boasting. Even the other 2 powerful top powers were secretly amazed, but no matter how they thought about it, at this moment no one dared to step forward to block the sword unparalleled. With the help of his own sword, the 10,000 poisonous monsters could not lift his head. And in that pair of battlefields, Lung Wuxia looked at all this. Unexpectedly, his strength has become so strong. Cold as snowy ice coldly, his right hand was also gripped hard. What kind of strength he has, it has nothing to do with you. Because in this battle, your opponent is me. Cold as frost is cold. Is it your opponent? Lung Wuxia sneered. She and Lung Wuxia once shared a body, both of whom were extremely familiar, and at the bottom of her heart, Lung Wuxia didn't look so cold. She didn't look down on it before, not to mention that now, she has fully awakened the poisonous body, and has become the Wandijing, which has become the first genius recognized by Lei Heng. Is it as cold as frost? As far as she knew, the frosty soul had been asleep, only to wake up a while ago. That is to say, regardless of her innate advantage, she has practiced for a long time before being cold as frost. Not to mention her innate advantage is much greater than being cold as frost. It's useless to play with your mouth, it's stubborn and weak. You only know when you have actually fought. She looked cold as frost, and she was too lazy to argue with cold as snow. It all depends on strength. When I saw her hand as cold as frost, a mauve long whip appeared in her hand. This mauve long whip is the attacking magic weapon that Jian Wuxia chose for her in Judy Pavilion before. Oh, the rule is precious? It seems that guy is very good to you. Lung Wuxia smiled indifferently, followed her and took out her cyan lance. A similarly arrogant breath from this lance spread out. Also, you have the rule of treasure, but not just you. Cold as snow. Cold as frost is because of the relationship between sword warrior and sword warrior, which is expensive, so it is easy to get her a rule of attack. And it was as cold as snow, but it was the first genius in the history of the Poisonous Demon Lord. It is conceivable that the Poisonous Demon Lord attached great importance to her. In addition, she had also got the chance by herself. It's normal. As the 2 men came up with their own magic soldiers, the fateful battle that was doomed from many years ago, and the moment they were born at the same time, finally kicked off. Dead, as cold as a snow slaughter, she took the lead and saw that her figure was moving. On the battlefield, there were countless figures at the same time. These figures maintained the same movement, and were held by both hands. Long pike spear stabbing. Boom! The space was directly penetrated, and a huge hole appeared. And a terrible blue light appeared strangely in front of the cold frost. Cold as frost still did not change at all. At the moment when the blue light appeared, her figure had receded, and the mauve long whip stretched out. It's like a towering waterfall from above 9 days. It contains horrible power, and it broke the green light at the first time, and the waterfall fell down, and continued to glance forward at the dense and snowy figure. Go with. I saw countless phantoms that were directly crushed by this waterfall, and even the deity as cold as snow suffered the impact of this waterfall. It's kind of patient. The coldness of Zuizen's figure was revealed, but the corner of her mouth still had a weird smile. But the next moment the cyan spear turned into a violent cyan lightning, which actually penetrated the waterfall directly and burst into the cold as snow. Come. Cold as frost looked up, the long whip in his hand also lifted upwards, as if the dragon turned over, and the long whip slammed on this cyan lightning bolt. And the cyan lightning bolt dim immediately. Lung Rushua frowned slightly. This low-powered divine power is not weaker than me, and her whip method is so good that she is so high in her perception of Tao. Lung Rushua thought that the cold frosty soul had awoken not long, and it was great to be able to reach the second level to dominate. But I did not expect that Lung Rushwang's combat power was much stronger than she expected. On divine power, cold as snow, because of the body of venom and some mysteries, has reached the extreme of the second series, almost approaching the third series, dominated by the cold, frosty divine power no worse than her. Her perception of the origin of the Gundo universe is comparable to that of the fourth series, but her perception of the whip method as cold as frost is no less weak than her. The two played against each other, and as cold as snow found themselves in a short time. There was nothing they could do to each other. And after a period of fighting between the two, Lung Rushwang took the initiative. Chapter 4037. 3 more arrived today. As cold as frost stood high, the jade hand waved the mauve long whip, meandering like a dragon. Suddenly a rage of mighty power flooded, standing as cold as frost. I just felt like I was suddenly caught in an extremely violent ocean. I saw the waves rolling wildly, forming a heavy tsunami, endless, crazy hits like cold snow. This trick. Jian Wuxia, who had appeared on the edge of the battlefield, could not help but smile when he saw the whip cast by the frost. This whip method was exactly taught by Lung Rushwang at that time. This whip method was created by the Mist Supreme, and now Lung Rushwang is only using the first type. But even the first type is extremely powerful, especially the violent but endless mood, which is to a certain extent not less than its own lightsaber array, or even stronger in some aspects. When Cold as Frost first cast this whip method, Jian Wuxia was already quite surprised. But at that time Cold as Frost only mastered less than 10% of this type of whip method. But now so many years have passed. This kind of mighty cold energy has been able to play out perfectly. I saw the extremely violent wave, frantically hitting Cold as Snow, and Cold as Snow continued to use his marksmanship to break free from this violent wave. But the wave resorted to unloading to make Cold as Snow at all. What kind of trick is this? Cold as Snow looked a bit ugly. She was too passive in this vast ocean. Wow. 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 The violent wave was still a shock again and again. But for a while, it was okay. But for a moment, it couldn't hold up as Cold as Snow. Well, I won't waste time with you. Lung Rushua hummed softly, and her pair of black pupils turned gray at this moment. The pale eyes were weird. And seeing these eyes, Jian Wuxia outside the battlefield instantly understood that the coldness of snow was to use his special constitution. You know that in the chaotic world of ancient times, he had also played against this cold snow, and the eyes of the latter were pale. Among those gray eyes, the abrupt dazzling gold light lit up, followed by a large number of red-gold flames spreading wildly at a horrible speed. And in a blink of an eye, the entire battlefield fell into a sea of golden flames. Not only that, but in this golden sea of fire, there is a lot of hazy golden mist rising. The golden mist and the golden sea of fire are not real flames but poisonous mists, The sword had no double-sided color sinking. He could tell at a glance that the overwhelming golden sea of fire was actually formed by the toxic mist, and now the cold frost had completely fallen into the golden sea of fire. The endless golden mist, including the golden sea of fire, completely wrapped in frost. This is the body of poisonous poison. Lung Rushuang has apparently seen the reality of the surrounding sea of fire. The golden flame of the sky seemed to completely evaporate her entire body, and the rising golden mist was pervasive, madly trying to penetrate into her body and erode. She could only quickly spur the power of God, and laid out a simple defensive hood to resist the erosion of these mists. However, the ability of these mists to erode was far beyond her expectations. Although she could barely resist the power of the gods, but it is very huge and fast. And after the golden sea of flames swept open, the coldness of the frost was also clearly felt. The breath emanating from the coldness of the snow has soared to a whole new level. After she tried hard to urge her special constitution, her strength has far exceeded just now. In addition, behind the cold snow, I do know when a giant alien beast appeared. The alien's body is not very large, but the key is the two pairs of huge wings around the body. It takes up a lot of space. It looks like a flying butterfly. Wandu Jing Jing. It is the poisonous sutra of the poisonous demon sect. This witch is indeed made, and her destiny is a colorful poisonous butterfly? There was an exclamation in the surrounding martial arts stadium. Wandujing is not only in this world of thunder stars, but also in the entire purple microstar domain. This mystery is also very powerful. At the same time, the body that evoked its own poisonous body, and also exerted the coldness of snow of Wandujing, at this moment, its strength has climbed to a whole new level. The eroding force of the golden sea of fire around me is too great. I do have the perfect level of life like the army, and my divine power is immense. In this state, I am afraid that I can only maintain dozens at most. The time of breathing will be completely exhausted. In this case, then go all out and beat her in these dozens of breaths. Lung Rushuang made an instant decision. Boom! A terrible breath suddenly rose from the cold frost, and a lot of white light emerged from behind the cold frost. The white light shone like the surrounding sky, making her look holy at this moment, like a goddess from above 9 days. General, her hair and robes were blown up at this moment, and there was a faint white light in her eyes. Schwanger, she should also come up with her whole cards. Jianwu's eyes were dignified watching this scene. She even got cold as the frost, but she got the true story of the Misty Master, who not only taught her the whip method, but also taught her some powerful secret techniques and life-saving means. It's just that cold frost, and this book usually don't use those methods. And now this method of cold frost is used by Jian Wushuang for the first time. I saw that the white light behind the frost was more and more dazzling, and the breath on her body became more and more arrogant. When this breath reached a top level, hey, the frosty figure was a weird 1/3. Yes, it is directly changed from one person to 3 people. Not a means of phantom, but a real entity. The 3 were as cold as frost, each holding a long whip, except for the coldest frost in the middle, which held the ruler of the precious treasure. The other 2 held only the strongest treasure. 3 frosts, all at the same time, the speed burst to the extreme. I saw 3 overwhelming whip shadows coming at the same time. Any whip shadow is more powerful than the full strength before the cold, but there are 3 such whip shadows. What mystery is this? One person 3. I can see that it is not a ghost image, but a real body. Is it a secret mystery? Even if it is a secret technique, there are always strengths, but the 3 figures are completely the same except for the treasure in their hands. On the martial arts ground, it was a marvel. Chapter 40-38. The first is more. Even Jian Shuangshuang was surprised when he saw the coldness of the frost disappearing. It is indeed the secret technique taught by the Supreme Lord Wu personally, and it is true. Jian Wushuang marveled. On the battlefield, I saw 3 as cold as frost, at the same time burst out of monstrous strength, attacking cold as snow frantically. Lung Wuxia also continued to fight back, and the fierce battle between the two became more fierce. The longer the time can be dragged, the more detrimental it is to being cold as frost. After only a few breaths, the frosty power has been consumed nearly half, and the golden flame of the sky is burning more and more vigorously, and the cold is like snow here. The strength of the golden flames is also getting stronger. Haha, cheap. Although you don't know how your strength has risen to this level in a short time, compared to me, you are still far behind. Lung Wuxia said with a proud voice. Void, she already had an extremely arrogant breath, and at this moment, she even improved a bit. Jian Wushuang's brow frowned slightly. After the cold and venomous body was evoked, her strength has been continuously improved. As the fighting time continues, her strength will become stronger. Frost is afraid of trouble. Now, Cold as Frost apparently noticed this. Demonstration has been consumed for nearly half, so I can't continue the fight like this. I'll decide the victory with one move. The cold and frosty eyes became cold. In the middle of the battlefield, I saw all three frosty figures receding at the same time, but on the way back, the white light behind her was more dazzling and holy. An aloof breath burst out from the three frosty bodies, and at the same time it carried an immense force of magic, and it also diffused at the same time. French array? Combat magic array? Jian Wushuang's eyes brightened. Sure enough, the three frosty formations directly formed a combined attack formation, and I saw that the three bodies were filled with vast rays of light rising up, and the three rays gathered together, and finally formed a huge hazy phantom. This ghost image is also a holy woman, but has 8 arms, all of which hold a long whip. With the three frost-like figures opening their eyes at the same time, the cold and fierce man flashed. The huge holy woman's phantom 8 arms were waving at the same time. Bang rong! The world is shaking like crazy. The endless power is frantically condensed in the void. In the blink of an eye, a full-length cyan dragon has formed. This cyan dragon opens its mouth wide, with an unparalleled power, directly facing the golden ocean below. The coldness in the center swallowed. Joke! Lung Wuxia made a loud howl, and the colorful poisonous butterfly behind her also made a harsh hissing, and the endless golden flames rose up. The spear in Lung Wuxia's hand also stabbed a stab, and the power of the golden sea of fire was completely integrated into the spear. The terrible power broke out at this moment. The two mighty powers represented the fate of the two, and at this moment they finally collided head-on. Ha! No horrible roar sounded in the imagination, and some were just the sound of a large amount of energy and divine energy squeezing and squeezing. The huge battlefield was covered by the powerful divine energy of both, forming a huge energy storm. The storm was madly sweeping in all directions, and many powerful people who watched the battle were frightened. Although only 2 second series dominated the battlefield in this battlefield, it is clear that the strength of these two people cannot be measured by the second series, and their combat power is definitely the third series. Even in the third series, they should be very strong. Jian Wu's eyes were cold, and he was also staring closely at the battlefield ahead. His soul's power had been paying attention to the cold as frost. As soon as the cold was in danger, he would immediately shoot. But it is clear that this collision has not yet reached that point. And in his perception, the frosty atmosphere did not weaken greatly. Did you win? A smile appeared on Jian Wushuang's face. Sure enough, as the energy storm in the center of the battlefield dissipated, and after everyone saw the scene inside, the countless strong players on the performance field were silent, especially those strong men from the million poisonous demon lords. At this moment all look extremely gloomy. At the very center of the battlefield, the two figures were still standing face to face. Although only 3 of them were as cold as frost, she was still standing intact. Although the atmosphere was much weaker than before, it was also because consumption of a lot of divine power. On the other hand, as cold as snow, her standing body was obviously slightly trembling. Her hair was quite messy, her mouth was bloody, her breath was much weaker than before, and she looked extremely embarrassed. Just from the appearance of the 2 men, we can already distinguish the victory and defeat of this battle. That which did you lose? She took out all her strengths. evoked the body of poisonous poison, and also used the Wandujing, but she still lost to a strong player of the same level. Witches will lose, which is really unexpected. Many powerful men watching the game secretly booed, because they have long regarded the coldness of snow as the first genius of the ley stellar world in recent years. And even among the entire Ziwei star field, they are one of the best super geniuses. Such super geniuses can hardly find anyone in the same stage able to beat her. But now, he was indeed defeated by a strong player of the same rank. There is no speculation. The strength of the opponent is indeed stronger than this witch. Impossible, this is impossible. A frantic howling sounded suddenly on the performance martial arts field, and I saw the coldness of the snow at that moment. The beautiful face had been completely twisted. Without my special constitution, how could I be stronger than me? Impossible, impossible. Cold as snow like crazy, she simply cannot accept the reality in front of her. You know, she didn't look cold as frost from the beginning to the end. Even she always called cold as frost. But as a result, she was now defeated by this bad cruel. How can she accept this result? It's such a field now. Are you still not convinced? Cold as frost stared coldly as cold as snow. Just lose? It's a joke. Unless I die, I can never lose to you. Lung Rushua yelled. Come, if you have the skill, kill me now. Kill you. Lung Rushuang shook his head. Maybe in your eyes, there is no such sister as me. But for me, you are always my sister. The grievances between you and me are going to end. Starting from today, let's do it for yourself. You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.